Kipperman just resubscribed for 2 months. It's already been 2 months. Wah-ah. Ghostleaf just resubscribed for 2 months. It's been 1 month.
It's before dark.
Yep,
God.
we're in here. Turn my light on.
Jesus Christ.
Now I need to actually make sure this fucking works because
He's not here right now.
Did I mention the train I was on with too many men? One was from Newcastle. A man from Newcastle? Disgusting.
Almost as bad as being from
Are
Kent.
you gonna join the stream together?
When I get invited, yeah.
You have
You've
been invited. Check your things.
Check your privilege.
Check your
white man.
privilege.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, I need to actually. Okay, hang on. Edit layout. I need to add-
Check your privilege.
I need to add the collaboration panel back in. Okay, cool. Nice.
Alright,
Oh,
when
fuck,
I
I should do
start, Biggie has redeemed for me to open a Pokemon pack, so...
Let's fucking
I mean, just
go.
having
Invite me
a
again,
couple of
'cause I can't
problems
see
with
it
it.
on here.
And he's just redeeming
What
mine that
kind
we're
of
going to
operating
die.
system does it use?
It's
Vista!
We're
going to die!
you have to cancel it and then invite.
Oh, I'm just gonna switch to
I mean, I can just
Intermission
not-
A
let
with
me
my
try-
face on it. Go.
As you join the
Alright.
channel, ongoing Hype Train share chat with turned on automatically and help you tap into the hype across communities. Okay, nice, cool, sweet.
Let's open this
I've
fucking
I've
Pokemon
tried
pack.
knocking in.
Well, I'm
tried
gonna
knocking
fucking
on
open
your
your
thing.
stream, but damn it, it's twice I've broken this game.
Oh, hell yeah. We have 6 Journey Together packs.
Speeding, don't do it to check it. I'm speeding to open your stream.
The pack is open.
No.
I'm trying to get into this fucking stream together.
We have fish. We have a Darkness Energy.
No!
No.
I got it! How did the fuck did I guess that was gonna be your one?
We have
Wait.
Paldean Wooper. Black Belt Training.
It won't load the stream! Oh! Whipper!
Whalmer.
I can see, I'm happy.
Enzarua.
Hammer.
Enz Castle.
Hello, peeps.
Hello.
Oinkologue.
We've got Ghosty.
Hi.
Axeligor.
We've got Exceligor. We've got Kip.
We got Lotad.
Everyone say
You can't
hello,
bend
Tad.
it.
Hello,
And
Tad.
Hello.
And we
No
got some
hits,
ducks.
baby. No hits.
Oh,
We got
yeah.
bulk, baby.
And there's ducks.
Hi. Sorry, I had a
Wait,
reading.
Wait,
I had to
wait.
Yeah, exactly.
If somebody comes to my stream, they can see the Lotad stickers that I bought from the artist called Amigosh at TwitchCon.
Lovely.
Shilling for them
they
because
can-
I want their
They,
emotes.
they should see that once I already have you guys in my title, but eventually maybe I might actually end up with an invite to this fucking stream together.
Oh, you just
I
missed
can't
it.
invite you again. You've already been invited.
The shared hype train ended.
Look in your notifications box on Twitch and see if there's an invite saying Ghostly TTV wants to collaborate. Click to accept.
If you could just not I can hear the smile, the smugness in your voice as you tell me to do that. If you could just not do that, that would be wonderful.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It was there the whole time. I was on the wrong fucking tab. We got a shared chat up. We're there.
Amma, to
With,
answer your
Screams at
question,
friends
yes,
for
I
doing
did see your
the
DM.
right thing.
Yeah, you did do the right thing. I was just wrong.
Right, I'm
Right,
hosting
yeah,
Your
the game
stream
now.
has gone down.
Yeah, it did because I reset something. There we go.
And the shared chat's gone now.
Yeah, well, check your fucking privilege.
Right, I'm sending out invites.
Okay.
Oh, I can't see my
Shared
Steam
chat.
overlay.
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's all
Please
cancelled.
Shared chat. That would have been terrible. That
I
would have
got-
been bad.
I can't see my Steam overlay. My mouse just doesn't work anymore. What is going on?
Your
This
what?
game has
Hey,
broken my
thanks for the
mouse.
Follow.
What is this? Fuck it.
Username
Are you sure you
1358.
maybe tab back in?
I tried.
You got a controller plugged in?
No, I haven't. My stuff just
Uh,
whack right now.
God,
Welcome
the
to Scuff.
sounds and everything in here. I'm going to bring the max frame rate down from 400 to maybe like 120, 144.
I'd
Should
be
fine at
worried.
400. Mine's not even running at that. Mine's running at 200 currently.
Oh, I can see my mouse in game now, which is good.
Oh, hang on. I'm going to come to the conclusion that
For
I need
free?
to change the resolution on my... Okay.
Native. You know. Hi.
We fixed it? Okay, nice.
Hi. Ambient
Hell
occlusion
yeah.
on. There we go.
Thanks, Emma.
Audio.
Yeah, with that pack redeem, I've made it so you can only redeem it once per stream, and it can only be redeemed once every 10 minutes.
Hi, Amber.
Well, if you're going
Good.
to redeem
I'm
it once
smart.
per stream, then every 10 minutes doesn't...
Third, I don't think I have you on Steam.
I don't want to
Same.
blitz through all 6 packs in like
Third, can you give me your Steam
0.5
friend code?
seconds.
Beam beam.
Or can one of you guys join and invite him?
Oh, Jesus. Are we using game chat or Discord?
Yeah,
We will be using game chat.
Game chat, okay.
Thank you, Danny Demise, for the follow.
There we go.
I'm
Oh my
talking exclusively
God.
in game chat now.
The
Please
real
tell
Danny
me-
Demise.
Please tell me if my mic sounds like dog shit, by the way, because it's got no filters on it right now.
It sounds alright to me.
Can you hear me clicky clacking on my
Oh,
keyboard?
I need to.
No.
It's so loud. God. Look at this stud.
Oh, it can change. Things.
Yeah.
Dibs on being light blue.
Are you not going to be yellow?
Yeah, okay. Piss yellow. I'm from Crabland. Let's go!
I think we're all from Crabland. Oh my god, the Ether dinner.
Eat for dinner?
He's pink, he's wearing a sailor's hat.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hi,
Oh no, I'm echoing somewhere. Who's got me on an echo?
Today.
I know.
All right, cool, nice, good chat.
I honestly have no idea. Mine's
Oh my god, this is Third's like native thing, it's climbing.
Yeah. No, how do I do it?
I just kind of walked up to it and I'm gonna fucking die. I'm going to die. I'm out of stamina. Goodbye, True World.
Have you guys done any kind of like training or something?
No.
No.
Nothing.
No,
Whoa.
I'm on holiday. Oh, my gap year from uni. That's why I'm here climbing. Have you got any chalk? I need chalk for my
Brother,
hands.
help me.
Yeah, dig
Stop.
into my sack.
Oh my god. Stop dissing climbers, you fucks. You're making me feel self-conscious. Oh. I am holding a passport.
How do you...
We're so back, everyone. We're so back in here.
Oh my god.
Oh, hell yeah.
Remember the climbing wall that we definitely climbed up at TwitchCon? That was a thing, right?
I
What?
think-
Put my
I
hand
loved
out.
jumping in the ball pit at TwitchCon, it was great.
Watching. What if we held hands on top of the climbing wall?
What if we interlocked our fingers and toes and kissed under the moonlight? Do you mind?
Oh, hell yeah.
Ooh, ooh,
Look at this guy.
ooh.
Oh, it's the
is it?
greatest sandwich I've ever made. Thank you so much
Let's
for the
all, like, look at
resub.
him
What a
judgmentally.
disaster. I'd
Let's all
love
point
to
at
see
him.
you.
Point at him.
Thank you very much.
How do you point?
Thanks, Biggie, for the TTS. That was incredible.
I don't want to be.
I'm jumping
I want to be like that.
I mean,
The
look at
funky
that.
little
Apparently there's a
guy.
way you can do emotes. Oh.
Ah.
You both saluted each other straight away. There is a mirror down here, I think. Ugh.
Well, if you wanna. Oh fuck. If you wanna.
Ah.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
My guy is so...
If you wanna change the way your guy looks, you just do it in the passport.
Yeah.
I've got next Thursday and Friday off, and I'm gonna try and get.
No.
The way,
No,
the
no,
way,
no.
the way,
First July
the way this
weekend.
looks when I jump
Nice.
at the
Oh,
the
shit.
mirror, it looks like the fucking FNAF jump scare.
This is gonna be great
Hold
fun.
on,
This is so
you do a
good.
bit of a run up.
Ugh.
Thank you so
Wait,
much for the
I wonder if-
resub, Paul. I really appreciate that. I'm having a good day. I'm having a better day now that you're here.
So
Oh.
it's like left click to hold to climb, and it's right click to put your hand out, and somebody can grab your hand if you're climbing and pull you up. I think.
Yeah. Don't ice jump.
Have you got any chalk for my hands? I need
Hi,
some, I need some
Ionic.
tape.
How you doing?
Yeah. I
Hello,
got.
Nick.
Can you
Oh,
put,
you
can you
need.
put tape on, please?
Okay.
Understand?
Like 2 foot to lunge someone.
One of us is gonna have to change colour.
Oh my god, we can't match. Okay.
The duck should be yellow.
Yeah, burger boy.
Whoa. All right.
Jesus.
There's no need to be insulting.
You got the fucking Dwayne the Rock Johnson eyebrow raise permanently.
How, yeah, I know. So loud, like in my ear.
Look at Dwayne the Rock Johnson. He's got the-
If you press escape, you can change the volume of everybody.
I've already put
We
it down
mod
to
it.
like 25%.
We gotta mod it so that every time we
You guys
look
are
at
going down to
third, it
12.
just does a fucking thud noise, a vine boom.
Hi, Dusty.
Why? What have I done?
Hello, you got the fucking Dwayne the Rock Johnson eyebrow raise. Do a vine boom every time he does it.
Okay, so yeah, you hold down left click to climb. Okay, nice. What the fuck? I should be able to land on that. Terrible. Can I climb this? Yes!
Oh my god. SCP has breached containment.
I'm like a little spider monkey.
10101 has breached containment.
Okay, I don't know what you guys are on
Now,
about.
sexual style.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know how we start a level.
Probably get on a plane.
Yeah,
Chaos,
probably
it's
go
still flight.
board.
So where are we going? Where do we want to go?
We're going to peak.
Hey Rose.
This game is probably going to be great. It's going to be so good. Oh no!
Oh. Hit
Oh,
movie
no, what
lost.
happened?
Hit TV share lost. Give me that.
Oh no!
Oh, a rope.
I have a backpack.
You should give that to ducks. What's with the what's with the dangly penis thing? Is, you seeing that?
Rope.
Oh
Yeah,
my
but
God,
why has it
he's
got like a dangly
trumpet.
Alright, I get something as well. Alright, at least I get something useful. I've got a compass.
You telling me this bing bong is not useful?
Let's come in my pass.
There's a guidebook.
There's nothing in
There you
Ghosty's
are.
backpack. Oh, yeah, what's in the guidebook?
Yeah, shove thing. Oh my god, this.
How not to... I feel like you already need to listen to this, Dux.
Sure, day one.
How
Sure,
not
one.
to die. A guide by Scoutmaster Myers.
I feel like music might not be the best idea for this.
Oh, okay. Rule 0. Never abandon a friend in need, guys. Remember that, okay?
Okay.
Rule 1. Keep moving. Look around, walk, sprint, blah blah blah. Jump with space. Keep moving up. Hold left click empty-handed to grab the wall. Space in the air to grab the wall. Shift while climbing to lunge. A right hand empty-handed to help a friend up. Controllers to crouch, and then you can help from below too. Crouch down and let a fellow scout stand on your head. Then jump to give them a
That's
boost.
okay,
Oh, you can
Hello.
you can do that. That's cool. Stay alert. Stay alive. Life is pain. You need to
Welcome in,
eat.
Sarge.
You get poisoned. Yeah. Okay. Don't overpack because you get too heavy. Stay hungry. Actually, don't. Okay. Eat.
Stay hungry, actually.
Actually,
Keep an eye out for.
Yeah, you threw that
little
really
mouse
fast.
to ping.
Yeah.
And in conclusion, rule 0: never abandon a friend in need. Lovely. I wanna put this in
Ow.
my backpack. How do I put this in my backpack?
Why would you throw that at me?
I don't know. I'm
Boy,
acting out.
like
I'm
you
acting out. I can't help but act out.
I'm freaking out,
Ah!
man.
I'm freaking out, man. Wow.
Push
Look at
off
those
there,
floating-
Gosh.
What do we do now?
Yeah, look at this.
Those floating
yeah.
suitcases.
we,
Ah.
we eat the fuck. Womp.
Something tells me that something hasn't gone right.
Something may have not loaded. I don't know what though.
No, it's fine.
Hmm.
It's exactly how it's meant to be.
There's luggage
For a
over here.
contract.
That might actually work. What we got?
Can I like put this in your backpack?
Fellas, I got
assume
trail
you can
mix.
put anything in the backpack.
Fellas, I got some trail
Yeah,
mix.
nice. There we go.
I got snackies.
Let's go.
I got
Excellent.
snackies. My mom
Let's
packed that
go.
for me. Shout out to my mom for packing me trail mix.
Shout out to my mom.
Hold on. There's fruit up here. Let me climb up. Can we climb up a tree? Let's see.
Oh yeah, let's eat the mysterious fruit. Let's go. Oh, there's some over here as well.
Fruit.
We know what this fruit is probably. It's probably fine.
Oh, you were so close.
I know. I couldn't get up there. Not in time.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Oh yeah, it's
Uh,
Whoa!
Ow! I bruised my knee. Ow! My knee.
Just hearing ducks.
Ow.
Oh my god.
let's go.
Am I really that much louder than you
go.
guys? Cause like,
Oh, Ionic, I'm gonna turn that off.
You're quite loud,
because
Oh.
The songs are off for this stream.
That's like my-
so let me
I don't know why it's so loud. I've not changed any of my settings. to make it
go.
that loud.
Hell yeah.
I will refund you your points.
I wonder if we can. What if there's a control for like
I'm gonna stop
how
the
you
music.
talk? Climb, helping hand, interact, drop throw, crouch, sprint, ping location.
No, it's cool.
teamwork.
It's cool. It's not your fault. Don't worry. I think it's all good.
Yeah, I don't want to be like blowing your ears out. Well, blow your back out, but not your ears out.
Hell yeah.
Pause.
That's how we want to survive.
How am I the only one getting hurt? I'm a fucking goofball. I'm throwing myself off stuff. By the way, we do need to stop moving because there will be something that will force us to stop moving. So we should get going. Our goal is to get to the top of that mountain.
On top
We
of
can
you,
hear it.
sweet
Third!
cheeks.
Third! You'll hear the echo.
Okay, your points should be back.
Third smells! Unless doing that out of me, yeah, that's intentional third. It rose.
Why are people echoing?
It's part of the game, Ghost.
Oh, okay.
The further you are, you can hear the echo. Ooh,
Don't worry.
Munchie.
Guys, I got some bandages. Great.
Ooh,
Go some beanie beans.
look at him over there. Marco.
Hello.
Marco.
Hello.
There it goes. Wait, can I... Give me a second. Turn around.
Yeah, okay. Shut the fuck up.
I want to put this in your backpack.
I can't climb because... Okay,
Yeah.
hang on.
Shut
Do you
the
guys
fuck
reckon you
up,
can catch
Wonder.
these?
Yeah. I bet I could.
Go on then. Throw 'em.
Who posted my nudes on Twitter.com?
Brother.
Look.
We'll also chuck in.
Where the fuck do they
free
go?
monkey. What?
One Onyx Amora
Down
one
here?
underscore is now
Oh, yeah, I got
following.
him, I got him, I got him, I got him, I got him.
No, you got 'em, you got 'em.
Yeah, I got him.
Okay.
Okay.
That's an interesting one.
Bandages, ho!
Oh, what'd you call me?
Fuck. I called you a hoe.
I mean, you ain't wrong, but like... Come on, bro. Say it to my face.
There was an attempt.
Where's that face?
Oh, yeah.
Hoe?
That's more
Right.
like it.
Yeah, thank you so much for trying to be helpful, Wonder. You little scrote.
Thanks for
Have
the
I lost
follow,
stamina
Ionic.
because I'm hungry, or have I lost stamina because...
You will lose it for when you're hungry. Like, if you... Like, your stamina is entirely based on you being hungry, your health, poison. It, like, limits it down. So...
Ducks, how do I put things in my backpack?
You have to press 4, or if you give it to me, I can put it in your backpack for you. So turn around. You don't have a backpack.
What the fuck?
That's why you can put
I
it in your
picked up a
backpack.
I picked up a backpack at the beginning, so if you want to put it
Okay,
in
good.
my backpack,
We have
Go to
one
backpack.
backpack.
Backpack, backpack.
that was a heavy item. I lost a lot of stamina.
It was coconut.
Yeah, we're just gonna weigh him down.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. You're a
okay.
pack mule.
We'll pull you up. Kip,
Thanks. Third time is the embodiment of intrusive thoughts.
you okay?
I'm okay. You okay?
Doing alright?
Yeah, doing alright, not too bad.
Not too bad, not too bad.
Thank you.
I don't know where I am.
Oh, no, I'm being poisoned.
I'm poisoned.
Jesus Christ.
I'm very badly hurt and maybe poisoned.
Me too.
Alright, well, we lost the bandages, so there's nothing we can do about that.
Wow. I guess I'm dead then.
I guess so. Oh no! Oh no!
Right.
Oh.
Right. If you
We're-
guys come to
we're
me, I
fine.
think I can pull you up. If I put my right hand out, you can click on it and it should pull you up if you're close.
Hell yeah!
So like we
Never
can
in my
like,
18 years of
actually have-
existence ever been called a scrote, good sir. Well, sometimes things change.
Sometimes things do change.
Where
There you
are
go.
you guys?
Come on,
Oh, yeah.
Ghost. I'll pull you up.
Okay, the poison is slowly fading.
Yeah, it does.
Slowly fading.
Yeah,
Oh,
but very
oh.
slowly.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Hey guys.
Thanks.
It's okay. We're getting up here. We're getting up. We're doing it. Ooh.
I appear to be out of
No, we're
stamina.
fine. We're good.
All right, I'll go and
You
help
can
him.
walk up the hill. That's what I did. If you go to the left-hand side, your left-hand side,
Your left?
your left, where you're going right now.
Brother, take my hand. Take my hand, brother.
Brother.
Brother, take my hand. There you go.
Hello.
There you go.
Okay,
What the fuck are you guys?
slightly below you, from the sounds of it.
Your mum's house?
Hey,
Does it just auto grab if I get near? Oh, it does. Oh, that's so good. Ah!
Oh, you fell.
We're fine.
Ah.
It's fine. Yeah, I'm just gonna get my stamina back. I'll be fine. Oh, my knee. Ow, owie.
I don't think I got enough
Brother,
stamina.
Come on, brother.
If you do like a little
Oh.
click, you'll jump up. Oh, that's spiky.
Ghost recreates Scar and
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah,
He's-
sounds like a great idea.
Third's doing miles on us. Look at him. He's zooming.
He's leading.
He's not following the book that he read out to us. That's so rude.
He's following.
Don't worry about it.
Fucking
It's fine,
sport.
probably.
For dinner, please wait.
Yeah, the climb I'm gonna climb. Look at him. He's in his element. This is the game for him.
This is. I am off on an adventure.
You're a bit slow though, aren't you?
What the fuck, man? I'm just special.
Say that
Are
again.
you? Are you really?
That definitely needs to speed run really up.
No, don't make me speedrun Only Up.
I'm dead.
The last time I played Only Up, the fog rises. Oh, can we not
Right.
fall into the fog?
No, the fog will
Found
kill us.
mushrooms. I'm gonna eat them.
Ooh, do it. I'm gonna have one too.
Fellas, I found.
What are you guys eating?
I see no negatives to
mushrooms.
eating those mushrooms. Tasty. I'm going this way.
Let's do it.
This way seems easier. Ooh.
Do you just give it to me, or do I have to?
I can feed it to you. I can feed you.
Oh my god,
You can
let's
just
go.
shove it in your mouth.
It didn't give me any extra. Like my tummy is still
It
just
didn't
as
give me.
vacant as it was
It
before.
didn't give me loads.
Oh god.
Ow. My head. I'm so hurt right now. Ow.
You know, like pat. Can I pat you on the head? Make you feel better.
Right now. Ow. My head hurts so echoey in my ears. My little ears.
Oh my ears.
That was like a
My
lot of
ears.
damage.
The noise are getting louder.
That was so much damage. I don't think you guys realise how much damage I just took.
Alright, climb down. Safe.
Oh, that did damage.
Alright, I'm going around the spikies.
If it was the yellow guy, it was Ducks.
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah, he was the one that just ate absolute shit.
Fellas,
ooh,
I might be
okay.
cooked. I might not be able to get higher than this.
It's fine. There's a.
Oh, there's a chest
suitcase.
here, so hopefully we've got some heals for
Wait,
you.
wait.
Bandages. Yeah, it's
Bandages, Ducks.
Yay!
Come here. Come here.
Yippee!
Ducks.
Why would you do that?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Stay there.
Ah, thank you. Oh. My leg feels better, thank you.
I'm gonna feed you.
No, bing bong.
Just shove some food in my
That
mouth.
was the only food we had.
Nice.
You gave it to me. I'm so special.
Okay, how the fuck am I gonna get up here?
Ah,
Why did you?
Well, whoever has the
No,
most,
you-
No, you moved. Kip, no.
you were meant to catch him.
whoever has
you.
the most stamina could probably go up and drop a rope down.
I don't have.
You have a rope in your
I'm very
backpack.
hungry. Grab a
Okay,
rope from
okay,
backpack.
yeah. Let me get the rope, because I know how do I take. There we go.
Guys, we can stand on each other's heads and then jump to get a boost.
Can we?
Yes. You were saying about the book that I read out earlier. It's in the book.
Or no.
Uh-oh. Yeah, we've got it. You're okay. You're
We're
okay,
fine.
trooper.
We're fine.
We've got you.
We might
What does
need to
Bing Bong
keep
do?
going
We'll never
round,
find out. I think he's.
or we're
Bing
gonna
Bong's
have
at
to,
the bottom of the hill.
or we're gonna have to
We're
go
never
that way.
finding out what Bing Bong does ever. Right. Okay. Ducks, stand on my head.
Yeah, I can't make that. Ow. Fuck.
Stand on my head.
Yep.
And I would swim to jump to give you a boost, but okay.
It gave me a little bit of a boost,
Oh.
but yeah, fellas,
Okay,
this
wait.
definitely ain't the way to go.
Okay, let's go down this way.
Nope. Yeah, we're gonna go around.
No, yeah. This way.
Mind the spikies.
We can go up there.
I'm a little hungry.
Oh, we could go. Yeah, I mean, we were looking at going that way before, and then we stopped. But there is a suitcase up there. We could go that way.
That's why I was trying to get up that way.
I'm very hungry.
You just
mean-
reminded me, I haven't eaten today.
You should probably do that.
Well, it's half an hour at night and I'm on stream.
Needs to go up because
Okay.
goddamn.
Ducks, we didn't have to do it like this, you know.
We just hope for the best. Nope. Nope.
Oh,
Oh, damn.
Kip, do you want me to go up the tree and get
There's
the fruit
food.
for you?
Yeah.
Can do.
yeah, go get the coconuts. We'll try getting the coconuts.
Put the lime in
It
the
spooky sounds because it's at
coconut.
night, Rose.
Yeah, I don't have enough stamina.
How about going and drop the Macas off? Oh, let's go. Hell yeah.
If one of you guys walks slightly across, you might be able to jump onto the tree and get the coconut.
I can't do that. I don't
Whoa.
have enough stamina to do fucking anything right now.
Look at him go. My little climber. Oh.
King dies.
It wasn't good enough.
Oh shit. Ow. Okay, I definitely don't have enough stamina to do anything anymore.
Whoop. Okay, I think this might be the little secret trick.
Poison.
Alright, we get up here. We get up here.
Can I like...
Oh.
What does spool mean?
Oh.
Oh.
No! Oh!
Oh.
Poison.
Ouch.
Running through poison.
Poison.
Oh no, I'm dead. I have no stamina left.
Poison,
I can't hear
poison,
much
poison.
of a
Tasty
dog.
fish.
Oh, Ghost just died.
He just
Ghost is
died?
dead.
He's dead?
Yeah, he's dead.
I love how much emotion there was in your voice. Oh, he's dead.
My brother in Christ, we
You know.
climbed like 2 feet.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay.
Oh, this might be a good path to go.
I almost made it. If only I had some food. Give me the food up.
Safe. Right, there's potentially a way here, but it's a little bit risky, where you have to like do a dodgy
don't-
jump. But
Can you
I could,
come
to be
around
fair,
this way?
what I could do is put a rope down here to get you guys to here, and then it's one jump across. So like, if I drop this rope down here, how do I
Where the fuck are you?
wiggle this? I went round the corner, round the spiky bits. If I drop this down, if I just do this, and then I do this here, put this here.
And the spiky bits that killed
Okay.
Ghost. Oh, I'm dead, bro.
Oh hello.
Oh yeah. Oh my no, he's dead. He's dead in the spikes. Uh oh. Oh yeah. Oh no. I'm not going back for him. I can't risk it. It's survival of the fittest at this point. No, I know I can hear you. I can just hear the echo, but what was that? What was in my mind? Stinky third dinner thinks he knows that I can't hear him when I can. Burger boy. Are you okay? You good? You good? Oh, we're safe. I'm good. Hi.
Woo.
A ghost! A ghost! Oh no!
Wait, am I here?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can see you.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So immersive.
Oh god. This ain't the path. I don't think this is the way.
You got this, Ducky boy. You got this.
I don't know if I do. I don't know if I do. I tried to jump, it's not
No.
working. No. Ugh. Is it safe to maybe like go?
Careful.
If I go like around here a little bit.
There's
Oh, that
there's
looks a
chain,
way easier to climb.
But you don't have enough stamina for. Oh no. Okay. Down chain.
Sometimes you have to
really
go
needs to
down to go
come.
back up again. He needs to come. He's coming. Is he horny on the mountain?
How's it going then, Ducks? What's your plan here?
I'm probably gonna kill myself, but you know, what I'm gonna do strategically by falling off the mountain instead of into some spiky bits. Don't kill yourself, Third. I love you. Mwah! But what if I was your dad?
The echo is fantastic on that when you went moi. It was like moi, moi, moi.
Mwah!
Running down the mountain right now.
He's going the wrong way. Why's he doing that?
Got it round the wrong way.
He's lost his mind. He's going the wrong way. Oh, hey up. What's there? What's there? Anything cool?
He found Third found my dead body.
Oh, you found it. Oh, it's fine. I'm so hungry. I'm gonna go deep in this hole. Oh, hey, deep in the hole.
Reminds me of your mum.
Wow. Wow. Just because you're dead, you think you can get away with this?
Yeah, damn straight.
When I'm dead, I'm gonna haunt you!
Can't haunt a ghost.
Spooky.
I'm gonna try my hardest.
Can't gaslight the gaslighter.
I feel like I have no idea if I'm making progress or if I'm like getting closer to third or how it's going. Oh, I'm out of stamina!
You're nowhere near him, brother. He's
Oh.
gone down.
Oh, he's gone down? Oh, that's fine. I'm gonna keep going up then. Ghost, if you see any, like, my haunted friends, my
Yes.
spooky boos, if you spot any, like,
Can we help you?
if you spot any suitcases nearby, let me know.
We are joined to you. We can't free.
Yeah, but when you're like, yeah, but
spectate.
when you jump between us, because he's so far away, you might be able to see something I can't.
It kind of just transitions between you and him. There's no like middle ground.
Oh, I think like, ah! No save.
No, we just like
Oh, it's like instant.
orbit you. We just orbit you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's instant. Okay. I don't like the space to let go of the chain. It feels unintuitive. Me and my little idiot hands. He sounds so close, but he's so far away.
He is nowhere near you.
He sounds like he's right next to me. Like, in my left ear. Third! I miss you! Oh, holy.
Considering how little stamina you have, not done too bad.
Yeah. Wait, can you see my stamina?
Yeah,
We can see your stamina.
Oh,
and
you
your
can see.
stamina.
You can see how much I'm struggling right now. Okay. Oh, there's like a little bit I can stand on here if I angle it right.
Yeah, the way I got myself in this situation, I like is it. I'm fucking stupid.
Oh, please, please, no, no, no. Okay. This is bad.
So third's dead.
Third's
Oh no. I think
You're
I'm
the
stuck.
last one. Complete the mission.
I think I'm stuck here. I don't think I can go any. Oh, here.
dead. Spikes. Oh, there's a ledge
What's
there.
that purple thing over there behind you? It's glowing. Like by that tree that over there. There's a purple thing glowing.
I can't see something glowing. I do see something purple.
No, I can't see
I'm
it.
just gonna keep going up the best I can. I shouldn't have jumped there. I'm just gonna stand here. Just regain my breath. I knew I shouldn't have had those chicken
He
tenders.
has been consumed by fog.
Where do I go from
So,
here?
yeah, he's like permadead now. There he is, look at him.
Ooh.
Ah, ghost! No!
Do you think he's dead?
I think he might be dead.
Ouch!
Dead.
I
Owie!
think he might be dead.
My legs!
Just got a funny feeling.
Let's go! 188 meters!
That's funny.
So
Man.
that went well, guys.
Yeah, that went great.
That went so well.
Remember, no Russian.
Yeah, yeah, yeah! Pa 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 pa! Ka-cha, ka-cha! Yeah!
Voila. Producing a clippable moment with Kipperman.
I'm not gonna clip it. We've got chatters right now who can clip. Chat room.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Get-
Chat room, I think
exactly.
that chat.
Clipping.
Wait, 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 wait. One of you guys look at me real quick. I think somebody should have clipped that. I think that was a clippable moment. Oh. You need to look around more.
That's the South
You
Park
guys
character.
play these as South Park characters.
Rose, what do you mean I need to look around more?
We can't all be Cartmans. That's
Bull
not
strike.
how this works.
Same shit.
Oh, third got it.
Howdy
this time.
ho! Well, howdy ho, Mr. Hickey. I was next to fruit and I ran away. Look, yeah, probably was. I'm doing a little explore. I'm doing a little exploring.
Put him in my bag.
Doing a little exploring.
Stock up on as much food as we can find while we're here, right? Yeah, okay.
Let's get some food.
I don't want to put too many in there because coconuts are actually
You can break
Yeah,
the
coconuts
coconuts
are heavy.
open. You can break them up and
I
then
think
eat
there's
from
no point
them.
in having the compass, honestly.
It just tells you to go up.
yeah, but those just go up.
Okay.
Is it a different mountain each time, or is it the same mountain?
Same.
It changes periodically.
Oh, that's the compass. You just dropped.
Tasty coconut.
Right, okay, if this is the same down here, then that means that we're going to find the same little pieces of luggage. Luggage.
Oh, it tripped.
Hopefully.
No,
get
I
that
didn't get the
floating
backpack. Who got the
luggage?
backpack? Who picks up the
Me.
backpack?
Kip's got it. Kip's got it.
Kip's got it, okay.
I mean, we had the backpack before. It just happened to die with thirst. We have an energy drink.
Yeah.
Fuck, ghost.
Yeah. Thanks, Jackson.
You're welcome. you get two. You get another one. Right, the energy
Yeah,
drink
everyone
gives
gets two.
the energy drink gives you like a boost of energy, but also like makes it so that you then have to rest
Okay.
really hard afterwards.
Kip, I think you should have that. I think you should have that. Because you've got a backpack.
It's a chicken.
I'm not a chicken, I'm a duck.
We
Yeah, exactly.
can just deal with that. Unless people are
Actually sensitive about the first name basis.
Eh,
I mean, I'm not.
it's more of a joke at this point for me.
Tomorrow.
It's more of a joke and more the fact that I'm just not used to it. That's why I keep switching back and forth.
Yeah, that's why I did that.
Some.
How do I open the backpack?
I think you press
Backpack.
4, and it should give you an option, but we can also put stuff in it.
A chubby shrew. Interesting.
I pressed
Oh, my
4
nickname in
and
high school.
holds it out.
No, you can't say that. That's my joke.
You can't steal a joke that you said.
Can't trademark the most common joke.
No. My joke. What is this? Is this gonna poison us?
I got another sports drink here if
Yeah.
anybody wants a sports
Okay,
drink.
poisons us.
And I also got an energy drink over here too if anybody wants an energy drink.
Good to know.
Anybody near me? Oh, you know, I'm just gonna quickly just.
I'm here.
I'm just gonna quickly.
Come on, pussy.
Well, you are. Alright, turn around. Open up. Just put
Oh,
that there.
wow.
There we go. You got a can of energy drink in your bag now to sustain you.
Turn around, open up. Wow. I wish I
Right,
was
bend
that
over,
bad.
cough.
Relax. Don't squeeze.
Or do. I don't mind.
I'm sticking with you, Ducks. Who got the rope this time?
Not me. I'm
I guess
busy.
we just
I'm busy
didn't get
carrying
rope.
water. We did get rope. I just don't think any of us picked it up. Oh, this is scary.
Water.
No, we did. We did pick it up. I have the rope.
Okay, cool.
Look at these guys go. Look at them.
Come on,
Look
fellas.
at them go.
Grab a hand. Grab a hand. Come on, fellas.
Yeah.
Come on, fellas. Grab a hand. Oh! So you pulled me down then. Get up here.
Yeah.
Oh, I can pull you
Sweet.
down.
I need to rest.
You've got a Naruto
Get up here.
headband on.
Come on, lads.
Come on. Come on.
Come on, boys. Come on.
Come on. Come on.
Oh,
Come
go
on.
secret
Come
then.
on.
Yeah, secret then. Right.
Across or up from here?
Do you reckon we can get up from here?
If we're
Ooh,
careful
I'm
of
watching
s-
Ducks and wait.
Oh, you can sort of stand here, but there's spikies, and we can use this as like a gap. But you know, I'm just using it to get higher. So if you go up, right? If we get to right, okay. So there's a little gap you can go with the spiky. If you avoid the spiky, I'll pull you up. I'll pull you off. Come on. Oh, I jerked it. Go here.
Oh, let's go.
Come here. Oi,
Yeah, I want to get pulled
oi.
off. Let's go. Yeah.
Come on then. Come on then,
Yeah.
lads. Lads on the day. Lads.
Let's.
Lads, pull your mates
all
off.
day without a bit of pulling each other off.
Yeah, bit of
Am I
tomfoolery.
right? Am I right, fellas?
Oh, I love a bit of tomfoolery. Bit of shenanigans.
Done
Right.
it.
A little bit of house and bitches swing.
Ah, missed it. I'm safe. I'm good.
Shrooms. I see shrooms.
Oh, I'm
I
gonna
see
come.
shrooms.
Hell yeah.
I see shrooms. I see shrooms.
I could do with a little bit of food. I think just a little bit of food. Just a tiny bit.
Just a mushroom-shaped
a
amount of
nibble.
food. These are
Just
bugle shrooms.
just a wee morsel.
Do you want one of these
I think.
bugle shrooms?
Do you want this chubby shroom?
Hey, one of you guys, catch. Yeet.
I'm
Oh, it's so,
fucking
so
slipping
much
on.
easier when
I'm
we're in bad
gonna
shape.
eat it and see if anything bad happens. Oh no. Only positive, no negative. This is the first game you play that makes me feel ill. I think it's like falling. Oh yeah, let's go. I'm causing. Is it trypophobia? No.
No,
Trypophobia is the
it's,
holes one, isn't it?
Vertigo, I think, is what you're on about.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Is it not?
he's
It's not a
left.
phobia.
Ow. He's left
He's
without,
left us.
without helping.
Wow, look at this guy. He's going for
Oh.
the loot instead of looking after his friends.
There's nothing in here.
That's what you get for
Jesus.
being greedy.
Help
Ah!
us.
Unbelievable.
Thank you
Right,
so much
okay.
for
You
the
guys,
raid.
Alright,
are you guys
alright,
coming?
fellas, I got my hand out. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
I don't know if we can even make it that far.
Wait. I'll get you, Ghost.
Yeah.
There you go.
If you jump at the top.
He left the expedition. It was like intentional.
That's high.
Hi. Hiya, Raiders.
What were you playing? Were you playing this too?
Help me, help me.
We got you, baby.
We got you, we got you.
We got you, babe. First time chat for Ionic. Let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome, Raiders. Hello. Oh no, they've come right into an ad. This is bad.
Oh no, your pre-rolls are supposed to prevent that.
Well, no, it's just because it just happened to.
Wait, he
coincide.
can rejoin?
I'm
Does he
guessing
rejo-
he's going to be a ghost though.
Oh,
Surely.
wait.
Ow. Oh, I can hear him. He's over where his body was.
Wait, did his body fall?
Ow.
I'm back, gone. Fellas, I don't know which way you're going, but I'm just going up.
Yeah, well, I need to either lighten my load or.
Oh, I'm on the side of
One
you,
the
lightening your
coconuts,
load.
from the
Yeah.
from your backpack. That's what I suggest.
I ate
Uh,
coconut.
He put the lime in the
it's
coconut.
Devin. Oh.
He
Hi.
finally put two and two together on who has raided him.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't know you changed your name. How are you doing?
Hiya, Raider.
Is it actually?
Hiya.
Uh oh. Shit. Holy shit.
No.
Oh, come on, please. Ow! 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 Oh my god.
Where are you? I can hear you.
I'm above. I'm up. Alright. Let's just be real careful going, man. Ah! Oh, no! No! Oh!
Jesus.
Ah!
I think he just fell past me.
He did. It happened. I was.
Ow! My head!
I can't believe you're still alive.
Post
though.
check. Might as well not be. My head!
Have you got any bandages?
No, I got a water bottle and I'm poisoned and my head hurts and I'm hungry and I'm.
Yeah, this is the first time I played this game.
I think I might be dead.
Medic!
Oh, not again! No! Okay, so. Maybe the water will save me. Maybe the try-hard sweat water will save me.
I don't really know what's going on. I'm guessing.
It's not done anything. I can't climb up. Oh no, this is bad. Oh, no, not again. Okay. I'm stuck here. My legs hurt and my ass hurts. I'm gonna find another way around.
Oh, jeez.
I've been in worse situations than this and survived. I'm going round.
I don't think we can do anything for you right now.
I'll figure it out. You guys go on without me.
Well, we've been given written consent. Unlucky fucko. Ah,
Mushroom.
My head, my legs, my knees. We good? Oh. One day I'll be reunited with the boys and maybe they'll have plasters and drinks for me. This better not be what I think it is. Oh, it's pretty cold over here. Oh, let's go. Oh, that's the end of the map. Oh, okay, that's bad. Oh. No! No! Okay. A suitcase, please. Have something that can help me. A jetpack. Trail mix. Oh my god. I have energy. Maybe I can get up.
I can hear you.
I'm coming, my boys. I'm coming. I'm stuck down a hill.
So did I.
Where are you? I'm back at the chain.
I'm placed.
I can hear you, but I can't see you. I see the coconut.
I see you.
I see your coconut.
Coconut.
I see the coconut.
Hi.
Hey,
I'm not
hey,
gonna be able to get
hey,
anywhere,
hey. Why? Are you like mega hurt?
Yeah.
Or eat the coconut, maybe you'll be fine. Wait, can you throw some coconut up to me? I need a little bit of food. With your strong arm.
Sure.
I said with your strong arm. Oh.
It felt.
Oh. Fellas, I think I'm cooked. I think we're cooked on this one.
I am mega cooked.
This isn't good.
It's about to
If
be
I
able
just
to drop.
if I just hold here, it'll be fine.
Oh, he's coming.
Oh no! Grab him! Pull him out real quick! No, things are falling out of him! We can save him! Come
Can
here!
we?
Come
we
here!
can.
Come
Holy
here!
shit.
Come with me!
Holy shit.
Come with me! He's so fucking heavy! Why are you so heavy? Wait, he's got a backpack on.
Hold on. Drop him.
Ah, wait!
No, brother, why? No, you dropped it down.
Ah! Wait, priority
You have a
coconut.
Hunger meter? Yeah, hunger meter, damage meter, poison meter.
It's
have an
all
energy
the
drink
same.
for him.
It's all the same thing.
Oh,
I don't
fuck.
think he's bring backable. I think we just have to carry him to the end. Opening his backpack though. Oh, he's got coconut in there. Yoink. Ooh. Wait. Oh, I just thought.
Steady.
I fed him another energy drink, hoping that maybe it'll help him. I can't seem to like.
That's why I tried as well, but it didn't work.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm gonna take him over here.
It's brutal.
I'm just gonna stand here and just Bye.
Didn't you just chuck him off the mountain?
No, he fell off my back. And that, if anybody asks, that's the story. All right? You hear me? That's the story. Put my hand on your shoulder right now.
Thumbs up.
I think he fell. Uh-oh.
Such an unfortunate
Uh-oh.
accident.
Isn't it?
Oh, there's a voice in my head.
He choked me off.
I can hear a voice in my head.
Cliff, you prick.
Ghost, I'm hearing voices. It's like he's here with me. It's like he's here with me.
He
I think
claims to be 6 foot when he's actually 5'11". Point
No,
and laugh.
no,
point
I
and
tell
laugh.
people I'm 5'10". I'm 5'10", honest ghost. I'm honest. Honestly, I tell people I'm 5'10".
Hit did a Latifi and rip the wiped the fuck out. I did wipe the fuck out. It was going so well till it wasn't. I blame Ghost for stepping on a jellyfish and yeeting himself down the mountain.
It wasn't just Ghost that did that. I tried to crouch round one and went. Oh, this ain't good. Yeah, we are so stuck. Oh, no.
Third back.
Yeah, that's not happening this time.
Speedrun's getting third back.
Alright,
Speedrun's get third back.
He's run to get third back. He just yeeted himself off the mountain, bro. He didn't even die.
Work.
You can't even kill yourself properly.
My legs. Funny death time. Woo!
Wait, did I fucking flip? Okay, we're both.
What a nick of every time one of these guys
One of
such a
you's gonna
jellyfish
die
up at the
quicker than the
mountain.
other. Oh no, he's dead.
I'm a ghost.
Oh, fuck, you beat me to it.
Yeah, we just get to spectate this guy, and he can't even talk back because he's knocked out.
Oh, brother. You
How you doing, Jackson?
Oh.
Joking on him.
Oh no.
You're chalking.
Oh, I'm
Don't
ghosting.
chalk on.
Oh, I'm ectoplasming.
Oh. Why is it taking so long for me to die?
Good night, emotes. Okay.
Why is it taking so long for me to die? Just die! Why is it postponing this for so long? Thank you for the posture check, Ionic.
Oh, you can zoom in and zoom out. Scroll it. I didn't realise you could do that.
Man, I didn't even get fucking 62 meters. Oh god. Crazy. Fellas, it took me so fucking long to die.
I realised.
Just-
Right, someone invite him.
He killed Stree.
How do you get more like hats and stuff?
I think
you-
there's like
if you do things in
there's
the
like
game.
yeah.
basically,
Oh.
I healed you and I got this hat.
Oh, cool.
And then the other one I don't really know what I got.
Wait.
It's the one where-
I feel like I'm on the movie Fat Boy
trouble,
Run.
Coming in hot.
Oh, I'm slick with it. I'm slick with it. Is that just how you stand with your like hands behind your back? How do you do that?
What do you mean?
When you stand, you like rest your hands behind you. See? Do you see that?
I
Both
think it's
of
to do
you.
with the mirror.
What? Can you not see your like standing there with your hands behind you?
Yeah, I can, but I think it might be because we're in front of the mirror.
Well, I can't.
Hey, but
I don't
no,
do it.
we stand like this anyway.
Yeah, I don't. The hell?
Maybe it's our eyes.
Could be.
Handsome beaver.
Let's see. No, I don't
Oh my
think it's
God.
that.
I think Bird's given up.
Or is this stream
Give it
died or?
up.
He's left us. He's left the stream together and he's loading up playing Hero.
Nice of him to let us know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So we message Shark? Why do you guys stand like that? What the hell? Wow. Hey, Colt.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
Into breaking, he can't play. Oh. No.
Internet.
Oh. Aha. Woohoo.
Okay. That's incredible.
I'm hello. Just me facing up in the background. Just hey. So easily entertained.
Oh.
If I stand on both, do I spin? No.
He's getting torn in half.
Just start losing health.
Well, there's my leg stuck in between the conveyor belt. Take my hand.
Final destination out there.
Right. Shall we... Do you want me to message Shark?
Can do.
Or just jump in the stream, I guess.
Yeah. Invite him to peek with us. Oh, I'm so sweaty right now.
I've got a fan on me and it's really not helping.
Let me know if you can hear my fan.
I'm right here.
Right, let me know if you can hear my air fan.
Farts in the mic. I fucking love the person who like puts the shitloads of volts through their Elmo doll and it just starts screaming.
You guys don't hear the oh, thanks, fellas. Chat room, being little babes. Mwah.
Okay. Ducks, you can do the pack redeem while we wait.
I can do the what redeem?
If you look at my stream.
Yeah, you've done it. You've done it this stream. I can't do it again.
Yeah, you can.
Can I? I thought it was once a stream.
One person can do it once. But,
Ah.
like, it's one
Ooh.
Shark should be joining us. He's just
Ooh.
quitting Elden Ring now.
According to my thing, Third's still in the stream together.
I can boot him. That's fine.
I'm joking your peanuts. This is premium content. This is for the Oni fans. The Oni peaks.
The only piece.
I'm rushing to open your chat as fast as I can to do this redeem.
Oh yeah, you didn't see it last time, did you?
No, I haven't seen when it shows up when I do it. I saw the pack opening.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get to see what.
Must have left my heart ajar, 'cause I'm
Shit.
thinking now I might be left with a
Rose
jar.
just redeemed I Love Jar,
But
which
you
had some
twice
shit
as
out
hard,
of it.
but I'm looking at other kitchen implements and they.
I've not heard this redeem in a fucking
Is
age.
there a warrior spoon? Oh fuck, the thought of its curvy body's making me swoon. I guess I better admit that I am sexually attracted to things that I cook stuff with.
Right.
I've redeemed it.
Na Act 2 of Dicks.
Oh yes!
On me
That's
currently.
such a good video. I know where that video is from.
Yeah.
It's so good. I'm gonna open on my stream very transparent. I'm gonna make it less transparent so chat can see. Property. Oh
Okay.
shit. Let me
Bum,
just.
bum, bum, ba-da-bum, bum.
Let me edit my filters real quick. Color correction, opacity. There we go.
The fuck?
Chat, you're watching a pack opening with me.
Alright, we got
Rose.
water energy.
Oh,
Okay.
not showing them on
We've
camera.
got- Yeah, I am.
Are you? I was massively delayed watching your stream.
Aramet. We got. I can't. Florigato. We got.
I like Cramorant a
Rude.
lot.
Rookie. We got Blink. We got Combustion. We got Alolan Golem. We got Escavia. We got Arablast. We got Winklong. And we got Wailord. No hit again.
Oh,
No hits. We're 0-2 right now. That's your one redeemer stream.
Okay. People,
nice.
do either of you
Yes.
have the Master
Yes.
Shark poo?
I do.
I don't.
Cool. Chuck him an invite.
There you go. I invited the Master Shark Poo. The Master Shark Poo.
Wait, should we get up here and wait for him? Judge him.
Of EMONE.
What's that spelled?
What's that for? Loads of money.
Probably.
Probably. Thanks, Stargazer_AD. I know who that is.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh my god, there he is.
There he is.
Hello.
Flown in
Hiya.
fresh from New Zealand.
You know me.
Coming in hot. You might want to turn me down.
I definitely need to.
And I need to turn Shark up.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna be perpetually doing that face. That'll be good for me.
How's it going, Master Shark? Or Kiwi?
It's going grand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, best.
There we go.
Look at him.
I think this is our first time actually like talking to each other, Shark.
I believe so.
This is awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The internet is
Sorry
such
if
a
you hear anything.
powerful thing.
Yeah.
It is.
Other than the last time you heard my
Um,
voice, you couldn't place who I was.
Yeah. Whoops.
Don't worry about it.
I remember this time.
Are you ready
That
to
was when
climb
I
a
played
mountain?
Elden Ring.
Well, Ghostly
yeah, that
told
should
me
work.
to join the VC, but there was already a max amount of people in there, so I just
Oh, is
joined.
Third still in it?
Oh, he's still in there.
Yeah, Third's still in.
I can boot him again. That's another thing I can do. Hold on, bear with.
Is he still
where
streaming,
is
or is he?
this-
Has he?
No, he's
He
still streaming.
is.
his own stream.
His internet's not working enough to be able to
switched.
do this, apparently.
That's strange.
Uh,
Could be just.
So he
could be
switched to
just a
playing
Discord
Flame here.
and this. But yeah, it could be just a this game and Discord issue exclusively for him for some reason.
I've moved him to a different thing.
Yippee.
I didn't want to disconnect him. Okay. Cool.
we
Hell
ready
yeah.
to
Right,
climb a
so
mountain?
The last thing I need to do is where
Rip their
is-
dinner.
Yeah,
I'm
rip
assuming
their
you've been
dinner.
having issues as well, Ghostly, because I did see 3 live notifications from you.
Should have only been 2. I don't know why there's been 3. That's interesting. Because one was I started and then I couldn't hear alerts, so I just restarted because
Yeah.
that's fun. That happens. OBS being fun.
Yeah, I love when OBS does that. It's great.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
I can turn on push to talk if you hear a thing in the background.
It's actually funnier to hear what's going on in the background. I'm just listening, I was like, that's actually so funny. Keep it.
Yeah, apparently no one on stream can hear it. Well, when I asked, there's nobody else in my stream anymore. But
Yeah.
like, I'm just if you guys can hear it, I don't know if that's exactly ideal if you guys are all streaming as well.
Oh, it's not gonna
It's
face me
fine.
at all.
Yeah, it's fine.
Pick
Alright.
the 3 best people to have that kind of stuff going on in the background.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get
How does the
started.
game
Let's.
work?
So, you
Crash a plane.
crash your plane and then we climb a mountain. But to start, you can practice climbing here. So it's left click to like start climbing. Your stamina bar is also your health bar, your food bar, your everything bar. If you get to the top and hold right click, it puts your hand out. If you do a quick left click, it does like a quick little jump. So if you're near a ledge but you don't think you can make it, you can do like a little hop to the top. You can also like
So
stop
how
and
do
hold.
I-
You just walk. You just hold left click and
How do-
walk.
Yeah, but how do I stop?
You
And
just
hold
let
the
go.
Hit
button.
spacebar. Oh wait, you can't really.
Confused.
You need to find like a little ledge thing to stop on. You can't
Yeah.
just stop climbing while
Yeah.
holding on to the wall.
So if you climb towards me now, Shark, I've got my hand out. So what it will do is it saves you stamina, it pulls you up.
Whoa. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Colt says hello.
Hello,
Hello,
Colt.
Colt.
Geronimo!
Cool. Let's go.
Wee.
So here there's no fall damage, but on the mountain there is. And I'm warning you now, I'm a very reacty comedy sort of fellow when we start falling, so you will hear me.
God, that it's frozen. Hell yeah. Okay, wait, what's happening?
Hello.
Give it a second.
Hello.
There you go. Ooh, airline food.
But yeah, if you didn't know what was happening, I doubt that first message, so got it.
What's the deal with airline food?
This thing's fancy as fuck.
Oh, I thought that was a bee. That is not a bee.
Who wants Bing Bong?
I'll have him. Ah. Ah, my baby.
Sure.
My baby.
Day one.
Boing, 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 boing.
Here
I
we
think-
are.
I think our mistake last time was taking coconuts.
It did
How
help
was that a
us.
mistake?
I mean, at one point it did, but it feels like it weighs you down too much.
Wait, why is there floating boxes over there?
We don't know.
Oh, is that a render distance thing?
I think it's
No,
the
no,
fact. I
they
think
are
it's
floating.
It's
yeah.
just-
It's every time we've spawned in, they've been there floating. So
Oh, there's also magical floating bush as well, which is great.
that's a spiky bush. It will poison you.
Ah, lovely. All right, I believe you this time.
Hello, Bing Bong.
Oh,
Hello, Bing
so
Bong.
the weight of the stuff you're carrying also affects your stamina.
Yep, and your hunger level.
And you get hungry.
And if you fall, you take damage, and that affects it. And if
Well,
you
wait, hold on. I feel like we're missing one of us. Where's Kipper?
That is a good question.
sports drink.
Kip?
Okay. So, Shark, if you just start
Kip.
talking like you talk slightly louder, it'll echo to them if they're not nearby, so you hear them echoing. So he's in like that sort of direction. Holy shit!
That's my secret way of yelling. Is just
Catch up, slowpokes. I'm gonna get up the mountain before you. Hee hee hoo hoo.
First one there has a tiny Kino.
Well, I'm gonna be there first before all of you. Got the guidebook. It's true, Rose. We did forget the guidebook. Shark will never know what we need to do. I'm gonna try going with the right side of this mountain this time. More sports drink. Can I hold this and climb at the same time? Oh, this is a problem. Do I have to go to 4? Oh, I have to go to 4. Okay. Ah. I'm thinking the right side of this mountain is going to be easier than the left side, so... For some reason. We've done like left and middle. And middle was like good progress. Left got me really far, but I think right's going to be the way to go. What are these? Medicinal roots? Bing bong. Bing bong. Sit there real quick. Nom 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 nom. Oh wow. Nom, 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 nom. Come on, Bing Bong. Let's get the heck out of here. Oh, more medicinal roots. Bing Bong, sit here. Good boy. Fellas? Root incoming! I'm sending down some roots to you. Yeah! Oh. Oh. Alright, right, one last thing coming over. I'm hoping for the best. Yeah! Go Bing Bong!
Bing bong, bing bong, bing bong.
No! I thought you'd catch him! My boy! Oh, I'm gonna climb the mountain in shame. Oh, my boy! I killed my boy! Now it's time to push the rest off the mountain. Maybe it's time I push you off the mountain. What? What? Oi!
They're not an accusation, it's a fact. He's a redhead.
It's true. Oh, wait, hey now, hey, don't be pulling out the ginger-based slurs.
Banger with the hard R, by the way. I put rocks in your back, by the way. They look useful.
No. I'm fine.
No, he's fine. I'm looking at him.
Yeah, I'm good.
Pussy.
You leave my bussy alone.
Coming for that ginger pussy.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, I nearly fucking died. I nearly fucking died, bro. I'm scared for my life right now. I'm so scared right now. I really want the mushrooms that are right here.
Yeah, I think he's scared. I'm an empath.
Chad, I'm horny right now. Do you think he knows?
I smell semen.
Oh no! He knows. He knows. My knee. Oh, cheek. Oh.
He already, yeah, he's
Oi!
done that.
No, I'm not. I'll be fine. Don't talk shit about me like that. I'll be fine. I'm experienced.
The fact that I don't hear an echo anymore is good.
Yeah, it means you guys are close by. That little no.
Give him a hand.
Uh-oh, this is bad. I'm in a bad place. Oh, okay, thank God. I think I'm nearing the edge of the level, which is the way I'm not supposed to go. I think. Oh, no. I'm safe. I might have to try and go around the spikies here. I think. To stand the best chance. Alright, let's drop off this real quick because we can jump to there. I don't think that spiky's gonna hit me if I go to here. Oh. Oh, risky. Ah, there we go. I'm up.
Hello, ducks.
Where are you? Are you under me?
Around.
Are you above me? Voice in
No.
my head? God?
I'm below you.
You're below me? Oh. Hey, yo. Hey, yo.
That chain you just grabbed.
That wasn't a chain, was it? I'm gonna have to go to HR. This guy's aggressively hitting on me and it's turning me on.
It's turning you on, then why would you go to HR about it?
It's distracting my workflow.
I'll
Oh.
make something else play.
This is bad!
Oh. Hello there.
Hey,
Hey, yeah.
yeah.
I don't think you're gonna make that one. Oh no, you did. Crazy. Help me up.
Okay, this is
Thank you.
not standable. I'm gonna get this way.
Just did the grab.
Bam.
This is bad.
Bam,
Oh,
bam,
no,
bam.
that's spiky. Spiky!
am I supposed to do?
I'm so poisoned. I'm so ill. Can you suck the poison out of me? Oh, I got stabbed in the penis. It didn't help. When you crouch down, it just naturally puts me on your head. Pushes into spikes.
It does go away. It does go away. I was like overtime.
Oh, this is bad, Kip. You're gonna have to go up and you're going to like grab me. If you get, I think we're gonna have to go this way. Oh, is there a way up? Right, you're gonna have to, because I'm poisoned. You're gonna have to take my hand. Take my strong hand. My strong hand. My left foot.
Right. No.
Ah!
Okay, we can't both stand on that rock. Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Right. I think I'm gonna have to go sideways.
I believe in you.
I believe.
I believe. 2 days back to back, we've referenced the same song that's in Shrek 1, I think it is.
Yes.
Ah! Oh god! This is bad. Kip, come back, please. Kip, please, please, Kip, please, Kip, please, please, Kip, please, please. Oh, oh,
Are you alive?
I'm alive, but I'm very hurt.
Hey, fellas.
Oh, hi.
Ow. Ow. It was going
You're
so
so
well.
happy.
No.
I hurt.
Exactly.
I'm good.
Unfortunate.
Which way did we go? Is it this chain?
It's the chain, and we went up through the spikies, yeah. But
Oh, I thought it was randomly generated.
fellas, I
some
don't
reason.
think I'm making this. I think some of it is, but I think it's like patterns, because like
Oh,
none of this looked familiar to the last times. I've tried going that way. It does have like an edge of the level sort of thing, because it does it overnight and then it extends the level that way. Oh,
I
gosh.
can't make that without someone helping me.
I definitely can't make that without somebody standing there.
Ooh, okay.
Extend the hand, shark.
I'll try my best. Oh god, without.
No! I missed! Well, fellas, I might be cooked. I might be cooked.
I'll wait here for you.
I'll try my hardest, but I don't think I'm making up.
I'll try and find the next way.
Hello.
Right, right in.
Oh,
Next way.
And then I'm trying! Shark, please! Closer! Closer! Please! No! No!
What are you? How much stamina do you have?
Not a lot!
Not enough.
What do you have on your
What's in your
person?
bag?
I know, I have a lot of pain and a lot of hunger. I'm very hurt. I fell very far way down.
Can someone throw a coconut at him?
We're out,
We
Dave.
have no.
Fellas, I'm just gonna slow you down. You guys go ahead and I'll just sing you sweet songs from down here. You just hear it through the echoes. I hope that's okay. I'm gonna find
Alright.
some songs to sing.
Right.
Let's do Shrek.
Get.
I believe.
No, this is how I fell off last time by trying to
karaoke.
save duck.
Smash Mouth, I'm a believer.
Okay,
Let's go.
fell. You should be.
We're cooked. We're cooked.
You cooked? Well, I was gonna sing karaoke and Echo, but I guess I have
I'm
one.
just gonna.
How far can I go in one? Oh, race to the bottom! Yippee! Here we go, chat room. I need an Oscar. I don't think I need an Oscar for my dumb voice just falling down a mountain, but thanks. I can't wait to see how Kip and Shark are gonna get on, because I don't know if they know. Oh wait, I can like slightly move. Oh, poor ghost. No, Sharks! No!
Now I'm stuck.
No!
You can very much tell that this is supposed to be a team game, but when then it just becomes either rapidly unfun, or just...
I can't help though, but I can hear you talking shit down there.
Yeah.
Someone must have spot though.
Oh, well, shame.
I'll do it for us, fellas. I'll get us the help we need.
He's got so much health.
Hello. Hello.
Oh.
How's it going? How's death treating you?
Hey. You let
How's it
me
going?
fall.
Listen, I did. Oh, fuck. It's just me.
You made us
Content
fall.
king.
How do you have so much stamina?
If
He was
Doug's fed
hoarding
me
all the
airline
food.
food.
He's a
No,
fat
I found this
bastard.
literally.
I'm a vindictive
You fat bastard.
ghost. Throw yourself off
You
the
fat
mountain,
bastard, you
Kipper
fat bastard.
man.
You fat bastard.
End your life, Kipper man.
You fat bastard.
You did this to me, Kipper man. This was all you. I
And I
was
do it
alive
again.
and
Say it.
healthy. You'll feel immense guilt.
I don't feel anything.
us. Join us.
I hope you get no pulls in your Pokemon pass.
I hope you...
If you get that's like a fate worse than death.
I hope you get no bitches. Join us. Join us. Shark,
Find
as a
whatever
ghost,
this
he can
statue
hear
is.
you. And he can see you as you rotate around him.
What? Oh,
So you can
can
haunt
see
him.
Yeah, we got haunt me.
I
Look,
hope
I'm almost
you
at the
tear a
top.
card in your next
He's almost
pack,
made it.
Kipper man.
I didn't realize the ghost thing was just your cap.
Look, I've made it, guys. We did it. I did
He
it.
did it. He did. Our statue.
And then
revive
this
us.
that
Revive
statue
us.
will revive you, you fucking crying little baby piss boys.
Wow.
Little baby piss boys.
Oh, oh,
Holy!
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus
That's what you get
Christ.
for insulting me.
Still hugging me, though.
Shark, it's so funny
Right,
watching you
you got
stand on the
some-
edge of the mountain and be like, man, this game is like such a team game or it's awful. We can all hear you
Yeah.
and see you.
Yes.
Dear Diary, bad news. The captain made an oopsie and we've wound up crashed on this mysterious island. Thankfully, the mysterious island are my speciality. With our whole troop working together, we'll reach the top of the peak and signal for help in no time. In the meantime, I'll take this opportunity to add some additional pages to my infamous guidebook, Scoutmaster Myers.
Yay.
What the
I
fuck
got an
is
achievement
that?
For climbing past the shore. Yeah, it was all me, guys.
Oh my god.
I got an achievement for it. Thanks, game.
Don't turn around, Shark.
Okay, I won't. I don't want to.
You're not gonna like the
Oh,
look
thank
of
God.
it.
Oh my
really
god.
don't.
Oh, it's the slow rotate. It's
Yeah.
right behind me, isn't it?
Oh my god.
Unless we have to progress that way, I'm not going to turn around.
We do.
We do.
No! No, Shark, no!
Thank you.
Come with us. We
Oh,
can't do it without you.
God. What
I
the
promise to
fuck
stick
is
together
this
with the
island?
boys this time. I promise.
Dear Diary, bad news. The ship captain
Oh,
made an
Kevin-
oopsie,
Kevin-
and we
I-
found out crashed in this mysterious island. Did you just
Uh-oh.
read this
Yeah,
one?
didn't-
Is this the same one you just read?
Yeah, it's what I just read.
Okay.
We've just lost
Also,
Kip.
you
He can
can-
rejoin. He can rejoin.
Ah,
His game just crashed.
oh.
Damn.
We'll just stand there and dance for a moment.
Hi- Wait,
If
can
you
we
press-
do a,
if-
can we
if-
do a high five like this? If I do like that. Eh. Look, the clapping is delayed enough that it sounds like you're like shaking your ass, and that's making that sound.
He is chubby.
Because like as you put your hands back on your hips, it makes the clap. It's like-
Right, okay then.
What's this game about? Looks fun. It's like a co-op climbing game. Well, co-op in quotes.
I mean, it is supposed to be co-op, but you can just go off on your own. So,
Oh,
I'm waiting to see
To the boy pussy.
if there's a mod that adds more players than just 4, because I'd like to do 2v2, v2, v2, like 8-player co-op climb to the top.
Battle Royale climbing.
Yeah, whoever gets to the top in the team wins. Oh.
And Kip is gone.
Oh, he crashed again.
Oh.
This is what happened to third.
Oh no. Try turning. Oh, when he comes back in, because I've got my settings set to, like, I've got V-scale on. I've got render scale to native. I've got shadow distance high, and I've got world quality high as well. So I wonder if that's doing anything. I've also got ambient occlusion on, because I don't know what that does.
I've got my game on the default settings that I started with.
Oh yeah.
The only thing I changed was sound.
Yeah, make me quieter because I'm noisy as. Fuck.
What's that on that Vine over
Mine's...
It's the old social media app of 6-minute videos.
there? No, 6 minutes.
Seconds, sorry. Alright, I'll kill myself then.
It's 7 seconds.
My joke is
yeah,
dead.
Close enough.
I can't remember if it was 6 or 7,
Yeah,
and
no,
then
no,
I
I mean-
accidentally
no, I
said
mean, like-
minutes. Yeah.
Like, look at all those vines and stuff.
Yeah,
Look
that-
at the one on the far left. There's like something on top of it.
That might be another box, but the vines are spiky. So,
Ah. Kipper!
Kip, turn your settings down quick!
Start at the bottom. Oh, and...
This game is talking heads. It's taking heads instead, just like the app. Oh man. Uh-oh.
Oh my god, Kipper
One by
joined
one.
Ghostly.
One by one, they're all dying.
Yeah, maybe Ghostly decided to change his settings and that booted him out.
Maybe.
By the looks of it.
Oh, anyway. This is the start of your day, isn't it? You know, did you have a good sleep?
I did.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
this is kind of the start of my day. This is halfway through my stream, so I only have
Oh.
17 minutes until I have to dip anyway.
Oh, fair enough.
So,
What's the temperature where you are right now?
It is... Oh, Kip is gone again. Okay. Well, 13 degrees.
13.
Celsius.
Wow, I envy you so much right now because it's 22 where I am.
Yeah, I've heard England right now is, or just the UK in general.
Yeah.
is hot.
Very hot. Very, very hot. Oh, ghost back.
Goes back.
Yeah.
What happened? Did you try and change your settings and it crash?
I turned VSync on,
Oh.
and then it crashed.
Yep, that sounds about right.
See, I turned it on and didn't have a problem.
Did you
Yeah,
feel
it might have been
good
because
to
it was
turn off
mid-game.
VSync? Hi, How was Chris's stream?
I'm doing good.
Whereas it's so hot, it's crazy.
We did lose the backpack and the food.
We lost the backpack? How did we lose the... Oh, because it was on one of
Because
you.
I had it on and I crashed.
Oh, ooh.
Shit's fucked.
Shall I don't know if it will like retain where we are if I restart, if it'll put us back at the bottom.
I
feel like I'm
thought
gonna
that was
while we're at this camp, does our hunger go up? By the looks of it, it definitely does.
Yes.
So, well.
We
that's
should probably start looking for food then. And then Kip can sort of try and... If we slow walk, maybe Kip can... If he gets back in, he survives. He can follow. You'll be able to hear the sound of our lovely voices. I'm going looking for snackies. Uh-oh. Any snackies? Ugh. Woo! Yep. Oh. Ooh! New snackies! How do I climb this tree? Can I not? Do I have to like get it from here? Does not be trying to climb this tree specifically. If everyone's crashed, we had a third back and played the Socks game. We could potentially see if we could find some people for Sock game. Oh, they've both joined the expedition. I'll wait down here for them. A red crisp berry. Ooh. Oh. Do I make everything slippery? I don't know, Rose. Maybe it does. Oh, there's a mushroom here. I'm gonna try eating the mushroom. A shelf fungus. Oh, I can't eat the shelf fungus? Oh, I just have to carry it around with me? Okay. That's fine. Shark, if you come down the hill, there's food down here, like fruit and stuff that you can eat. There's like loads of safe fruit down here. One second, let me just turn you up a little bit. If you come down here, there's fruit. Whoa! I wonder if I can use this to like knock that down. Oh, I can't. Shark, there's fruit down here. Careful coming down. Yeah, that's fine. There's loads of fruit down here. I'm gonna see if I can get onto a vine and get a banana. The fruit can remove the hunger, but it can't heal you. I've just found a blue banana. So there's in the luggage there are backpacks that can heal you, and I think there is a fruit down here that might heal you a little bit, but not a lot. Ooh, a berry nana peel.
Is something wrong with Shark Scale? No? Oh, is it not letting you redeem it? I think you, Squib, you did pop in at the beginning of stream. I think you already redeemed it.
Let's get this out here. So I found a mushroom and I threw it, and when it exploded, it turned into this giant platform. So there's a mushroom that we can throw to make platforms if we're like in need. And then I've been finding these red fruits that are safe to eat. These red crisp berries. They're quite nice. And on the vines, there's these blue bananas, which are like banana berries. And then you found more of those purple berries. I think if they're green, they're poisonous, but if they're purple, they're fine.
Ah, okay. Well, that's not going to come in handy because you're explaining color to a colorblind person.
Oh.
So
well,
thank
whatever
you.
the
Damn.
Right. I mean, you know the concept of
That's
green.
Okay. I do.
But I don't. So
I'll figure it out.
yeah, I mean, like if I see green and look at it, you might take it and then go, "Oh yeah, that's green because that's green to you."
Oh, the banana peel.
Yeah.
Did you drop this?
Yeah, I ate that and then dropped it. So then if I do this, oh!
That's great. Have I actually been here? Yes. Looking at my activity feed, Twib, yes, you were the first person to redeem something this morning in stream. You redeemed Daily Shark Skill.
I think Ghost and keep having major issues, so yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if they want to try and organise a sock lobby. Being that we've still got a while in the stream, we can get a bunch of people for
Sock?
yeah, guilty as sock. It's a debate game. Oh, oh.
Free.
I don't think it's free, but it might be cheap. Let me check.
I'm also really bad at debating, and I've also got
I-
9 minutes left, so I don't think.
See,
Not
as
sure about that one.
guilty as sock is £5 British, so that's what, like 10 US? No, Australian dollar. Whatever you are. What's your currency? I don't know what
New Zealand dollars.
New Zealand does. How does that go to Australian dollars, and how does that then turn into UK pounds?
Australian dollars is like 1.25.
Okay, so it's like if it's 5, it will be like 750.
Oh no, it's me. I fucked it up. So hold on. Let me just use my phone. Pounds to. I could just look up the game. I
Yeah,
could just
you
do
could
that.
do that. While you do that, I'm going to shove this food in your mouth real quick. Just enjoy.
Thank you.
And then I'm going to light this flare. Maybe we can get some help. And now I'm going to throw this. Yeah!
Okay, guilty as sock is $9.
Oh, it's close.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think I'd be able to play it today anyway. Oh, can we use
that's fair.
Discord again, please? They say.
Yeah, we can switch.
So I guess we'll. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just going to leave the game because. Oh, yeah, if I'm muted. I'll just... Hello, hello.
A supply.
Hello.
A supply for fire.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
So
Yeah,
Game no
gameplay.
worky.
But yeah, weird.
Yeah. By the way, Dux, turn. Never mind. Okay, I can mute you in game.
Yeah, I just set your volume to 0 in game.
Ah, yeah. Does how does maths like is it only crashing because you're joining mid game?
I don't. I know
don't
that.
really know.
I know that I can start up my own game and it's fine because I tried to join while in my own game and that didn't work either.
I mean, we could
Okay, I
try
do
someone
think-
else hosting.
Yeah, I do think it is a thing where if you try to rejoin mid game, it fucks it up. So, I think if someone's game crashes, then we're probably all fucked.
Just gotta restart.
Also, there's a new island in 19 hours and 5 minutes, so it's a like changing island. That's a cool concept.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Somebody else want to try hosting? Is it me?
I've only got 5 minutes, so I may just have to dip.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
Alright.
Okie doke.
I apologize.
It was nice
But
having
that
you
was-
here,
no
though,
worries.
Shark.
Yeah, it was nice to chat to you in
It was
voice
fun.
to voice.
Yeah, yeah.
It was fun while it lasted. Poor game. Poor game is too janky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope you got a
Yeah.
funny clip out of this.
I did get funny moments. I don't think I got any clips though, but that's okay.
Shark chat, get to clipping. We need some of those clip farmers in here.
Yeah.
Here we
The
go.
Clippy Farmers.
Me, the union leader of the clip farmers, ordering them to work.
Are you a union leader?
I got voted in.
Got voted in.
Yeah.
But alright, I shall flee for now.
Okie dokie.
Mm-hmm.
Okie dokie.
Smell y'all later.
Thanks for
See
coming.
you later.
See you
Bye.
later.
I was gonna say, we could try and set up a sock lobby if there's anybody about.
I think Beaver said they would.
Should we switch to Guilty as Sock?
Could do.
So
Yes.
I do want to
think
try
we can
and
do
come back to Peak. I'd like to see if Peak gets a mod for more than 4 players. I'd like to do like a competition in this. If it becomes a
Peak
bit more
becomes more
janky.
stable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to mod to peak before it actually is stable on its own.
But from everything
Yeah.
I've seen, I've not seen anybody have the issues we have had today. So,
Yeah.
but
How
you know.
new is it?
it came out. I have Steam open. I had Steam open. Let me have a look.
16th of June.
16th of June.
So
it's literally
4
been
days
out for
ago.
4
Yeah.
days. It was announced on the 12th.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I had a lot of fun though. I know somebody.
Oh yeah, it was fun.
I can't wait. To
Oh,
watch your
apparently,
perspectives.
Rose wants you to turn me down on Discord a little because I'm too loud.
Oh man.
It's okay, Rose. I understand you don't want to hear my voice.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
It's fine.
I like having my Discord people louder than me. Have I got a limiter on Discord? I haven't. Oh, that'll probably be why. Limiter by -9. That should fix a lot of it.
It's fine, Rose. I'm only taking it very personal.
He's
of
crying in the
course.
club right now, Rose. It's your
I'm
fault.
so crying.
You did
I'm
this
0-3 on my Pokemon hits. My game keeps crashing, and now you don't want to hear my voice.
I know. Crazy, but she's my top clipper, so you put some respect on that name.
13 reasons why I got nothing on me.
Should we then and at everyone and see if we can get some Sog? Shall I pop into the chat, see if he wants to try some?
Yeah,
I
why
said
not?
I'm sorry. It's fine.
Cyberbullying,
fine.
my man.
It's not
Crazy.
fine. It's fine.
Cyberbullying 2025. Just turn it. Just close the page, man. Just look away.
Look away, my man.
You can't speech break. Mr. Dinner, would you like to write a sock lobby? I can't hear him for another 12 seconds, but here we are. And I may just disappear and go get some drinks as well.
He said something about thank you very much for the offer. So I'm guessing that was a no.
Oh.
R.I.P. Shout out to your family. I am gonna go and buy more Pokemon. Also,
Of
I can
course.
keep this redeem going each stream. Drag him by the dinners into lobby. Spam him with invites. Spam him, I say.
Right.
I mean, if we can't get anything, I can dip and you guys can buff rivals to finish off.
I might as well find something.
One something we all have. We can play.
Good question.
Or you could just at everyone and see who responds.
Nah, I think it's a bit too late in the day to add everyone right now.
Mm.
Because we'd be adding everyone. I need to go at 12 probably.
I don't know how big it is. I don't know how long it will take for you guys to install, but there's the Jump Ship demo, which I think is multiplayer.
Jump ship.
It is a PvE. Jump Ship is a mission-based. Well, thanks Steam for moving the page down because of the live stream. Mission-based co-op PvE for up to 4 players, where you're the crew of a spaceship. Transition seamlessly from crewing the ship to on-foot exploration and spacewalks. Engage in intense battles both on the ground and in space, and always keep your ship upgraded and intact. And they have a demo right now, but I don't know how big the demo is because I have it installed, but I didn't pay attention because internet fast. It is. Let me just see how big it is before I. Size of installation is 15 gig.
30 gig. It's where it says at the bottom. It says yeah, system requirements. It wouldn't take very long for me. I don't know how long it would take for Keeper.
With streaming and also downloading something I don't know. Rough one to tell.
I definitely think that
3
probably wasn't
separate
the...
Balatro streams.
Could do.
God, what if we all played Balatro?
Definitely don't think me hosting was the best idea when I'm doing one of those 2K streams.
Oh, it should be fine. It's only
This guy.
Here, Ducks in 2K, let's go. I'll give you back in a second. I'll let you guys figure out if we did Balatro or not. I'm just gonna run and get a drink.
Co-op Balatro.
Oh, that is a mod. Wetting boobs off. Hits are off.
Splitgate 2.
Okay. Pretty sure I played Splitgate 1 once and then never played it again. I had no one to
Rematch.
play it with. Rematch.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. It's a football. It's like Rocket League, but with people.
Oh yeah, you gotta pay for that.
It's
Oh
on-
wait,
it
did you
is
just
on
say it's
Game
on Game
Pass.
Pass? Oh.
I don't think it's very big. 6 gig. No, I feel like we can find something else. Hopefully.
I do want to try that football game at some point.
What, rematch?
Yeah.
We could try it
I'm
now.
gonna go get a drink because I'm sweaty.
It is
Be right
Brothers?
back.
gigabyte.
Back to Tinny.
He is cracking a tinny. He's doing it.
Rose, you know I walk off with my headset, right? So I can hear them. I can hear everything you did. I dare not leave my stream and not have the audio when I walk away.
Running an ad while we're not doing anything. He's just gone as Sharks
Oh
Raiders.
shit! He's losing Shark Raiders.
Oh no!
Thanks,
Welcome,
Shark.
Raiders. Thanks, Shark. He's not here. Thank you, though.
And he loves you very much.
He does love you. We love you very much. The timing is great. Yeah, he just went for a drink. We attack the empty space. Yeah, that's
Let's go.
that is the
My
way
Twitch,
to go, Villa.
my Twitch chat bot just died. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. It just crashed for no reason. Epic.
Three mentions.
Oh, wrong screen.
Oh, I've been raided and I was AFK.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Hello, Raiders. Thank you for raiding. Kip elbow spotted. Kip fucking alcohol spotted.
He's getting bougie tonight.
Drink my
fellas.
sorrows away. I can do it. Yeah, you can. Wait, no, you can't.
There we go.
Master. Aha. There we go. Go follow Mr. Shark Poo.
Yeah.
Thank you for the raid though, Shark. It means a lot. Glad to see you come in here with your
It was
crew.
so funny to die and then cut to Shark, who's there just being like, this game, like, just talking about us and you being above, like, I can hear you.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Oh, fucking Shark chatting shit, and it's like, bro, I'm gonna get to the end. I'm gonna do it for us. It'll be fine. And then he just died. And then he just-
Yeah.
Got Bish walking and Bong sucking to attend to. That's fair enough, brother.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So have you decided what we're doing, fellas?
Could try rematch for a bit.
Yeah.
It is only 6 GB.
I'll get it
Shouldn't take very
installed.
long.
Install to this drive.
Bye,
Damn it!
Val.
Bye, Valor.
I feel like a controller is what I should play this game.
That's what I was thinking
Colt,
too.
do me a favor and redeem a pack opening.
Colt,
can't
don't do it.
do
He's got a
it.
problem. Colt, don't enable him.
Enable me.
Colt, don't do it.
Release me!
Do not come.
Your
Do not come.
inhibitions.
You are not allowed to come. Do not come.
Come on, Colt, do it.
Don't do it, Colt.
Colt. Come on.
Don't do it.
Do it. Do it.
Colt, don't do it.
Don't do it, Colt. Don't do it, Colt. Only shit, I hope the duck pond is safe. Oh god, yeah, this is all happening in my pond. Look, this is the second day back to back I've gone downstairs to put the duck away and have had to kick a frog out of our living room. Not literally kick, but I pick him up and throw him out into the bush.
Okay.
And Toady Hopkins.
Do the pack, open a pack, redeem.
Don't do it, Colt. Stay strong. What's the worst he could do to you?
What is the worst I could do to you? Why not? They don't want to enable my gambling, but I want you to enable my gambling. Make your argument on the why not. I don't think he has a reason why not.
So I have to give a title.
He's using his brain power for something else.
Yeah. I'm making funny title. What are you guilty of, Rose? It was an accident. I was trying to do something else. Colt, you don't enable... You do what makes Kip happy. If he was a heroin addict, would you give him heroin?
Yeah.
That would make him happy.
It's too late. She's done it.
Technically, that would make him happy. This is true.
I tried my hardest.
Come on. Why would you not want to enable these Journey Together packs? I could get a card that I actually want, or I could get shafted.
Now I have to
'cause I'm
work
over
to
3.
open your stream so I can sit and watch you do it every time because I have it closed to save CPU power. And I gotta scroll on my Twitch page, wait for the shit extension that extends it open to open. I'm just gonna keep going, and then there we go.
Alright, you better hurry up.
I'm hurrying. Chat can't even
Pack's
see it.
open.
So I'm making it so
I
chat
know,
can
because
see it
it's in
too.
my hand.
No.
Oh,
That one will do, but it's the wrong one.
what energy have we got this time? We got
There we go.
fire energy. Whoa,
We get to
fire
watch this with a
energy.
delay.
We got a nimble. We got a lavatar. We got... What the fuck is that? Rebo Raid? We got
See you later, Stargazer.
Power Blast by Stargazer. We got Electrode. We got... What's that? Volcanera. Marowak. Wooper. Pancham. Oh, 0-4, baby. 0-4.
That's why you don't make him open packs. He's 0-4. He hasn't got the look. He doesn't
I did.
believe. He hasn't got faith anymore. He doesn't believe.
Ah, damn. I do have faith.
Doubtful.
Someone weighed my packs.
Right, I'm watching rematch.
On 25%. Oh, so Stargazer's Abby. He doxed
Yeah.
it. Took her to the penthouse and I doxed it.
Okay, this game wants me to play.
Oh, did she change her name?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Stargazer AD. Don't tell me AD are her initials. The silence is deafening.
AD stands for absolutely despicable.
I'm not sus.
Gambling.
He loves gambling. Can you believe it?
Press the any button. Holy shit, this game's loud. The user agreement. Press D.
No, that's me fucking around with the soundboard, not Ducks.
Yeah, it's not me. It ain't me. This isn't me this time. I'm busy trying to set up game settings. Borderless window, max FPS, yep. TSR, TAA, FXAA off.
Sweet. Okay. It's kind of cool.
DLSS over balance.
Jesus Christ.
Motion blur
Yeah.
off. Everything else is. Yep.
Okay, I've done the tutorial.
Oh, they're all the way at the bottom now.
Flint and steel. Chicken jockey.
It hasn't picked up that I've got a controller, so I might have to reload the game. And then I've got to add it to OBS, which is already freaking out. Yeah, it hasn't picked up a controller. This is great.
The nether.
I need those.
So glad I had a.
I need those added.
I can add you to this. I will have to like sort out a server for you to be able to see them and not see the DMs in the server, and you need to ignore the name. Oh no, I can just rename the server.
Yeah.
But
How about we just don't go through this rigmarole? Just save the time and effort.
Guess what?
Fuck it. Just don't rigmarole. We're not gonna do this.
What does that mean?
I feel
Nice.
old.
Oh,
I feel old.
you are old.
Rigmarole refers to lengthy and complicated procedure, often perceived as unnecessary and tedious. Also describe confused or nonsensical
not
talk or
actually that
writing.
bad.
Essentially, it signifies a hassle or a disturbance, often involving too much unnecessary effort for detail.
Nice.
Cool, I know it's usually me, but I'm being good. I've got my tinny, I'm sat in my fire on stream.
Got his titties.
I've got 2 titties on the floor, sweated off.
Oh, that's sick. Right, okay.
Right, it was not recognising my controller. This is grand.
It's recognized mine.
Everything is perfect. It's falling into place.
I haven't plugged it and plugged it back in. It's
the
reloaded.
smile of my face.
Oh, that maybe did it.
Life's a happy song when there's someone by your side to sing along.
It's connecting. Oh, there we go. Cool. Right, let me switch to
Banger from the
this.
Muppets.
Game capture. This is
Banger from the Muppets movie.
specific
Bangers.
window.
Everything's grand. Got the whole wide world
Is this
in
going-
the palm
oh,
of
no,
my
it's fine.
hand. Everything is perfect. It's falling into place. I can't see the smile off my face. Life's a happy song when someone by your side is down. Makes you feel like you're perfect on when it's just you. Wants to be tired. There's no
Oop,
one to catch
that
you in the
was-
fall.
Okay.
Everything's grand. Everything is grand. Got the whole wide world
Well
in
played.
the palm of my
Come
hand.
on! Nice. I'm
Everything
on
is
it.
perfect.
Well played.
It's falling into place.
Nice.
The life is smile off my
Good
face.
job.
Life's a happy rose. Some to hate and some to pose.
Come
Life's a piece
on.
of cake.
Why is it? Oh,
With someone to pedal, someone to break.
okay.
Of songs, someone to see. Life's a happy song. When someone by your side to sing you.
So is it all?
I've got everything that I need. It's been so long since I've watched Muppet Movie.
I haven't seen it in a long time. Hell of a long time.
I never watched the sequel either,
How do I change my character's
where
name?
there's evil Kermit.
The evil camera.
The evil Kermit. He's French, hence why he's evil.
Of course. That plays out.
Who can it be now? Who can it be now?
This game lets you customize your footballer. I'm gonna have so much fun with this for a second whilst I set everything up. You have to pay money for that? What if I get that? And then what if I get that? And then what if I get that? And what if I get that? Can't see
He's
oh,
doing
you can see two of them.
customization.
True. Equipment. Home. Palettes. Casual. What any of this mean? I don't know football. There we go. That's fine.
Oh yeah, Ghost is gonna have to explain all of the football terminology to us because we're not football watchers.
Kick ball. Shoot ball. There you go.
When do I get
Ball?
when do I get a gun to shoot ball?
Yeah. American school football.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on, fella.
Come on.
Alright, my character looks brilliant.
You're right.
Rose, don't dot me with my name. Don't be coming in here with this. My character looks amazing.
Come on.
Do I have to do the I have to do the practice? Let's do the tutorial.
Yeah.
Basic movement.
What is the
okay.
fucking line? You're the one who actually remembers the entire quote.
Come on, what are you showing me?
Like rat of the sky or something. Spanish.
To me.
It's you are L. You're L. Rada Alada. Rat with wings. World's greatest detectives.
Oh.
Oh, this is gonna take some getting used to.
Oh, you can. Got a metal arm. That's sick as fuck.
I play as Steven Gerrard when he slipped on his ass and cost Liverpool a championship.
Yeah, you should.
The only thing I know. What else? What's his name? His name is a shop.
Just...
Alright, I'm not going to remember any of the things that this tutorial's teaching me.
His name is a shot.
Swear it.
His name is a shot. Lionel John Lewis. His name is a shot.
Somebody who I do not know.
Love that. I can't read, I can't write, but that don't really matter. Because I'm a Bristol City fan and I can drive a tractor. Scott Sterling. Beaver knows football, guys.
Scott Sterling, yeah.
I don't know how this works, but I'm going to absolutely suck at this to no end. Home and away difference, I think, because you have some teams with the same colours. Obviously, they can't show up with the same outfit. That's embarrassing. So they have different home and away outfits depending on where they are playing and who they're against.
What is that doing right now? He's got some fucking Tron glasses on.
Tron glasses?
And he's got some, like, RGB glasses on.
The socks, think of a fashion statement. The long socks are too long, but they want to show those football thighs. You know, so they get the legs out for the fans. Next tutorial defense.
Alright, my game's finally installed.
Right, I'm just gonna go into this with no fucking clue how to play it until and hope for the best.
Thank God I have Wavelength open already. Oh, it's built in Unreal 5. Oh, we cooked, chat.
Oh, we cooked. Why? Because it's built in Unreal.
Yeah. How did he know? They've got anti-cheat on this bitch already as well, but it's the one that doesn't work. Crazy.
Oh, my controller just decided to disconnect. That's great. Thanks. Brand new controller. Who's this?
I wish so I could just join your squad. Ghost, you can run this one. You can put this one back.
Let me break it down for you, Mark.
Anything about watching it in a pub and not having a shot whenever anyone cheers. Gonna take Rose to a football pub and get absolutely destroyed because every time anyone does anything, I'm gonna cheer and she's gonna have to drink. Someone eats a chip. Whey!
Hey.
Someone comes into the door. Whey! Bye, Colt.
He'll be back.
Sweet. Okay. Cool. Yeah, right. I suppose I need to invite you guys, don't I?
Yeah.
What? Watching someone boot a ball at a wall.
Don't really much access your microphone? No.
No. No.
I don't think I will.
My microphone.
I don't think I will.
You know what? No.
Alright, Rico. You take my microphone and shove it up your ass. Huh? How'd you like that? How'd you like them apples?
Did I join?
Dunno.
You
Dunno,
not
Jeff,
join.
did you?
Around, Jeff. Alright, Bob. What's scary?
And now I'm stuck in a tutorial at the moment, I think.
Quick classic match waiting for owner. Wow, I didn't realise we digressed so far.
I'll try and invite you again.
Goldie is supposed to stay in the goal, but he gets separation anxiety from being too far from the lads, so he's allowed to go to the field a little because he misses the boys but won't tell them anytime soon. This feels like a setup for. This feels like a setup for. Did you see that ludicrous display last night? But it's just gonna be me messaging you guys tomorrow about us playing this. Did you see that ludicrous display last night? That Ducks guy needs shipping off to somewhere awful.
That's a crazy thing to say.
Absolutely
Can I
disgusting.
skip this? I don't want to watch this shitty ass cutscene. I don't care. I don't care about these people. I don't care. Stop. Oh my god, I'm getting filmed by a GoPro.
Shove the GoPro in your shorts, and then they can't use the footage.
In my jorts. Get prologue, thank you. Thank
I
you
hope
so
it
much.
shows our characters stood next to each other at some point.
When we win.
You're an optimist if you think we're going to win.
Alright, I am in with you.
Sweet.
Alright,
Okay. Quick match. 3v3.
Why not be a woman?
Yeah, you can customize if you want. It was too late. I'd already done it.
We're about to get hurt.
Yep.
Yeah, most likely. Crop top. For fuck's sake.
Crop top and booty shorts. You don't see my makeup?
These guys have got fucking names.
Oh shit.
Here. Mine. I'm on it. I got it. Mine.
Fuck, shut the fuck up.
Square it. Cross it.
Oh shit.
No,
Oh,
they
shit.
know how to tackle. Shit, we don't have a goalie.
What the fuck was our goalie at? Bro?
Stay sharp. Well played. Techers. We got this. We got this. Stay sharp.
Techers.
Let's give it back to me. Give it back to it.
What did you do? What did you do?
I'm proud of it, man. I know how to play this game.
Why to dive? Oh. He missed.
He missed.
He's a noob.
Kick his ankles. Break his legs.
Oh, damn.
Run it in, Kip. Run it in. Just run it in, Kip.
Cross it.
Oh, let's go! Let's go!
We got it.
Techers. Techers. Techers.
Oh my god. Just like Rocket League for real.
Just like you. Of course.
Just like the simulations.
Yeah, just pass it. I tried. Oh, what's happened to me? Oh, controllers this place.
Oh, save.
Oh, what?
What do I do in goals to stop it going in? I just
Press
stood there
Y.
and you press Y.
Press Y
Okay.
and,
Okay.
and like point it in.
I have absolutely no clue.
Ghost needs to get a new controller. There's one that came off Tabao apparently isn't working. You got that? Remember Tabao, guys?
I'm on it.
Oh, fuck's
Oh,
sake.
Stay sharp. My bad.
How do I make my character say some rude shit?
We'll go prosthetics. Did I? Worth it.
my entire like USB controller just died.
Oh my god, somebody help! Go!
Right, I'm just gonna stand in the goal now. I'm not good anywhere else. I'm not even good in goal. I'm just, you know.
Alright, pass it back out or whatever. Oh, well, that works.
Alright, I'm learning this. We are not in for a good first match.
My fault.
What's happening to... The real question is what's happening to fucking Ghost?
Defeat? Oh, no way. You complete a match with at least one player in your squad. Let's go! An achievement! Hi, Slag. You're watching the worst footballer who's never going to score a goal, never score a goal.
Alright, at least I can have some customization now. Well,
Yeah.
Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, you okay?
Of course, but yeah, my entire like USB driver decided to like restart.
Ooh. We're not having much luck with games today. Oh, you're Scott. No, Slag. No, I won't. I have no idea what I'm doing. I even did the tutorial. I don't understand.
I won't make myself a woman.
Okay, but I'm also going crazy. Is Dux like really crackly for you?
Yeah, he's sounding a bit more crackly.
Thank you.
Oh.
Yes, not just me.
I'm pretty sure I just crashed my entire PC then. Oh. So it seems to be if I have like DLSS on, it like breaks my microphone for whatever reason. It hasn't like there's no reason for it. It just starts to crunch. Am I still crunchy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, you are crunchy. Good luck. Good fun.
Still crunchy?
That sounds better right now.
Okay.
How do you change your costume?
Nice leg.
How are you doing? That's leg. Add some equipment.
Bros clipped the world's best goal. Oh no. Oh no. That's
Fucking
not good.
good.
Oh god. Oh no. We have to watch this real quick. Oh. Fellas, I think this is going to be one cooked clip.
Right, we're going into another game, peeps.
Yeah.
Is your controller working?
Yes, it is. I've plugged the receiver into a different USB port to see if it doesn't kill my USB like dock. I assume that's what's dying because things are going weird.
Oh my god. Fucking worst goal on the planet. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad.
You get to see my character now.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Whammon.
Oh, I just got dunked on.
Well, you get an achievement for performing a save as a goalie, so it's clear that Bugs didn't do that.
No! How do I... Oh, B. Okay.
No.
Brother, what's happening?
Good job. Eckers.
Sorry.
Good job.
Eckers? Okay.
Oh, God.
Thanks, Link. Thanks for the clap.
Take the goalie out real
Nice
quick.
one, Jackson.
Oh, this is bad. This is bad. Oh.
Nice.
Oh.
Peeps.
Brother, this guy's styling us so hard, I'm gonna end my own life. Next he's gonna make me and I'm gonna kill myself. I'm not having this.
Can you film it?
Yes! Let's go! Let's go!
Go on.
Kip, move! Move it, Kip!
Move it to what?
I'm moving so far forwards! Yes! Fucking swipe this guy, break his ankles. Does that count as a save?
I walked into the goal.
Yeah, he walked in.
And if the goalie's touching it in this game, I think it doesn't
Oh,
count, so...
okay.
What achievement? Oh, I love this achievement. It's so rare.
Yeah.
Save the ball.
Oh, my ankles.
Do you speak like other languages? What other languages?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Keepers.
Oh, no.
Move out of the way.
My fault. Sorry.
My
My
bad.
bad.
Sorry.
My fault. Sorry.
Techers.
I love that.
Techers. Oh, fuck, not me in goal.
I think
Oh,
I
fuck.
cooked on my character creation.
Oh, Ghost. Bring
Oh,
it back
come
for
on.
us. Take it home, lads.
Pass it. Oh, fuck it. Tried to get it back to you.
Lads, they got a guy really far downfield. He's getting close. This is scary.
Oh, I'm freaking out.
Lads, I'm losing my shit right now. Oh, he's shit, it's fine.
Keepers. Keepers. Keepers.
It's him off.
What do you mean keepers? Shut the fuck up.
To me.
My bad.
Cross it.
We can only spam so many times. That's so
I got
sad.
it. Fine.
Oh, communication spam disabled for 3 seconds, brother. This game
Nice.
sucks. Yeah, what are you doing? Why are you bringing it back to us?
That's cool.
Oh yeah, because it's
Oh,
Saved it.
I did save it. Didn't get a
You did
fucking
it.
achievement though, did I? Bullshit.
Because you didn't actually save it.
What?
Oh, it's happened again.
Kip, run the shit in. Run the shit in, Kip. Let's go! Let's go!
My fault.
Even the game
Say
does
it, say
shit,
the
yeah,
line.
it's true.
Stay the line, Bart.
Say the line, Bart.
Well done.
Hackers.
Control lifted. Again. There you go.
The
It's fine.
controllers are fake.
Fuck.
Oh, this is bad. I'm so far back and I haven't got stamina. Oh, I was too far back.
Sorry.
We
How
got
do I
this.
get my character to flip them off? How do I Vinnie Jones it and start beating the shit out of them?
Don't do that. Nice.
What? Oh, my legs.
Ah.
I'm out of stamina.
Go on.
Go on, Ducks.
You got this. Take a shot.
Oh. It was rough.
Kill the keeper.
Break his ankles. Oh no, he's got a clutch. Oh, goes too far out.
How's he doing tricks?
I don't know. I really want to know.
I'll be in unknown.
I tried so hard then.
He actually styled on YouTube. Oh.
He did. I tried to get it.
Match point by mercy rule. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Oh!
I liked it when you threw a player there.
I performed the same as a goalkeeper. Let's go! Look, I'm just trying to get it away from me. You guys gotta do the rest.
Yeah, it's coming back to you.
Fellas, this is bad.
Yeah, you got it. Nice.
You threw it right back to him.
Let's give it back to him.
The best goalie in the world. Ugh. Come on, Kip. Come on, Kip. Come on, Kip. Tackle him.
I want to call them a slur. My inner Rocket League's like coming out.
Come on, lads, it's clear and open. You got this.
We're so cooked.
Ah, fuck, I missed that.
Oh, fellas.
Oh,
Oh,
you
fellas. Oh,
Nice.
sending it.
Fucking
Sending it. Oh, no, it comes. Let's go. Let's go. So it was inaccurate. He only scores the fucking goal from across the fucking pitch.
Oh,
No fucking way did he miss it.
By my own goal.
Alright. Trade spots. Trade spots. Go, 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 go. It will switch.
Oh, fuck off.
Oh, I'm sorry, lads. Oh, I dived the wrong way. No.
My fault. Sorry.
I type in the chat that thing, so it's that. We got 8 seconds.
Just shoot it from there. Oh.
He's fumbled it.
Fumbled it so hard then. Last shot.
Last shot.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh. Scoring a fucking goal though. Let's go. Gunner links and dragon links. I can't believe I scored a fucking goal as a goalie.
From all the way back there.
Brother, look at my score. I had to play this game. What the fuck? Interception 16, passes 5. Shoot at the goal, guys. Duck should have been more specific. They had to shoot the guy. Just, you know.
I definitely
worked
prefer
on a farm,
Rocket
right?
League to this, but it still worked.
You've all worked at a farm, right? You've got your shotgun license, yeah?
You what?
Fellas, we are the
That's all right,
watermelons.
shotgun license, that's all I heard.
Yeah. You've worked at a farm, you've got your shotgun license. I see some pigs that need putting down.
Can't call the police that.
Brother. Keep just focus on scoring a fucking goal, alright? I'll keep the ball out of the goal, you focus on getting that ball in the fucking goal.
Fuck. Ducks it to me.
Oh, where the fuck were you? There we go. There you go. Oh no.
You're shooting all the way from back there again.
Yeah, why not? Just, you know, gotta get it away. You guys gotta just be down there.
keep pressing RT because I'm so FIFA coded that I'm pressing RT.
So FIFA coded. He's a white boy chat.
Let's fucking go, Kip! Oh!
What's the reach on
Nope. Nice, Ghost. Take it. Take it.
That's
Send
a
it.
touchdown.
Send it.
Boot it.
Oh! We're getting better. We're improving.
But yeah.
Nice intercept, Kip. Go on. I ain't got faith in my own skills, but if I just stand in goal, nothing can go wrong. Got Rose shit talking in chat.
Back to my keeper. Back to my keeper.
Oh, I passed it straight to him.
Don't boot it
Lads.
right to him.
Oh!
I liked it when you dived at him before he even shot.
Oh, I panicked. I panicked, right? I panicked, right?
You can see where the piss came out.
I panicked, right? Right, Ghost, we're trading. You go forwards.
Okay.
Well, that's gonna be my new title. World's worst goalie.
There's so much stuff I want to say, but I have to like.
I have no stamina at all.
Because I think I'm cooked.
Fuck off, bro.
Send it back to me, and I'll fucking
Jesus
send it.
Christ.
Oh,
Nah,
fucking
nah,
wrong
it's
way.
like 4 to
Wrong
1.
way. I could have got there if I just dived in the right direction. Not panicking. We're trading, we're trading. Panicking, man, I'm sweating. My hands are sweating. God, send it. Panicking, lads. Sending it.
Yeah, there's no one there.
Just gotta get it away.
Need to recover some stamina.
Oh, thank God, guys. I panicked so fucking hard then.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, fuck, man.
Yes!
Come on,
Scored
come
one
on,
goal.
come on! Come on! Send it in! Oh, no.
How do I type? I want to type in chat so much stuff, but I just can't. There is no in-game chat.
Ghost, Ghost, what is going on?
Ghost, grab the ball.
I'm trying to. You got it off me, for fuck's sake.
He just stood there. Can't have you spun up for me.
I'll
Someone's
come
done a
again.
flare onto the pitch.
What the fuck?
Oh, I must be lagging it.
That was almost to me.
It was in your
Yeah.
direction. You just weren't in place. There you go. That's to you. Fucking make it happen. Oh. Oh.
Oh, come on. I should have intercepted that as well.
Oh, for fuck.
Oh.
Grow some hair, you bald dickhead. That's as far as I can go on insulting. Even then, I feel like I'm breaking a fine line. There you go, Ghost, follow that.
Go on.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Cheers.
I don't... Is there a button that isn't the shoot button?
Yes.
Yeah, there is.
X and
X
B.
passes. What does B do when you got the ball?
Nothing.
Okay. So it's X to pass, and it's triggered to shoot it.
Right. See, I wasn't aware of that because it doesn't tell me in the tutorial.
It did tell you in the tutorial.
Well, I didn't get time to play it like I did get... Oh.
No! No!
Nice.
Fucking
Nice.
panicking. So many dives, just fucking panicking there because I was like, no, don't do it, it's going. I'm not good at football, man. Ref, that was a handball. He picked up the ball. He was pretending to be a goalie.
I hope this guy falls down some stairs and gets brutally injured.
Fellas, all three are pushing up. This ain't good.
We're also trying to push up as well. Trying to do the same.
Go on, Ghost!
I hit.
I'm sending it out. Oh,
This guy
oh my
needs
god.
to slip in the shower.
Oh my god.
Go come rise, bro.
Nice tackle,
Okay,
Ghost.
yeah,
Nice
tackle that
tackle.
old dickhead.
Tackle him. Break his ankle.
Kill him,
Break his
kill him.
ankle.
Yeah, just kill him. Straight out, kill him. No one over there, dogs.
Oh no, I'm just getting it away from the goal, alright? It's scary out here.
That worked out really well.
Stop shooting.
If it goes in, we get a goal. I have one goal, and that's to get a goal as goalie again. That's what I want to do.
Stop chasing that.
Thanks for the raid there. Literally the worst fucking goalie on the planet.
You're
Chasing that high.
You're saving stuff. Fine. But you can't chase it.
Look, who is at the top with interceptions and saves with the most points? I'm doing something right. Come on. Just need you guys.
You're doing something right, but then you're also doing everything else wrong.
You guys just need to be on the other side. Just let me just sit here on my own.
No, because then they'll score more because there won't be any defense.
Alright, let's trade it up then. Does somebody else want to be in goal?
No, just stop shooting.
No!
Press the X.
Every time I do it, it doesn't go in the direction I want it to.
What a tough fucking team.
Aim it better.
Fellas. Okay. I'm not going to hit the trigger once. I'm going to hit Y to save and X to pass, and that is it.
I don't believe him.
I don't believe me either.
Fellas, I'm going to hold my controller up so the stream can see. So is this house? Damn right, there's house in this house.
Let the record show.
Fellas, I'm cooked. I gotta hold the controller such a way so I don't touch that trigger. This is gonna be the hardest game I've ever played. Homeless. Bitches are maidenless.
On his right hand.
I'm holding it with a claw right now. Jack, clip this for them.
He's
Send
got
it
the
to
claw
them.
grip.
I got the claw. The claw. The claw. Duck scores when I took the corner gets trigger happy.
3v1.
It's so
3v1.
true. Panicking here already because I have nothing on that right stick to look around. Oh, this is awful. Oh, this is the worst.
I'm not.
Let's fucking go.
Slag, I don't give a shit.
Let's fucking go.
My
What
fault.
do you mean slag? I don't give a shit.
This just managed to be right there.
He's gay. He's gay, chat.
May I present to you my actual girlfriend?
Go front, go
Yes,
front,
he
go
is.
front, front, go front. Oh, this guy knows
apparently
tackers
touched
and knows
that.
tricks. Oh, good save, Ghost.
Oh.
Oh.
My God, Ash. Young man, kill
Nope.
yourself. Why
Fellas,
did it go that way? What?
Yeah.
fellas,
Right.
I looked in your direction. I pressed X. It went in
Yeah,
front of me.
no, not the camera.
I tried to. I was panicking then. It's hard to do the way I'm holding this controller. I'm not touching that trigger at all.
Keepers.
Oh, but when I do it,
My fault. Sorry.
Yeah, when I'm not the keeper.
My bad.
it's bullshit,
That
man.
was hot. That was
This is
better than
bullshit.
yours.
Fuck off, was it better than mine? It's bullshit.
That was better than yours. Do you know why? Because a
Fuck
woman
off.
did it.
I have no retort to this.
Damn straight you do.
Where the fuck were you, Kip? That was straight to you. It was where you were.
I was at your mum's house.
My mom's not home. She's in the crowd right now.
One shoot. Nice.
Let's fucking go.
That one was for her.
Match point mercy rule. One more. Shout out to my mom who's helping Kip get motivated to win this fucking
fault.
match.
I love it.
Shout out to your mum.
Don't get robot
Her
there.
mouth is occupied right now.
Brother.
Thank you,
Turn in. Nice. Good try, good try.
He's off his line and try.
Square it. Keepers.
Oh. Oh.
I don't know how to do the trick still.
Right bumper.
It's RB and one of the buttons.
Directional, isn't it? Is it right bumper and A, isn't it?
Grab that. Oh. Okay.
Come on, lads, we've been pissing about for
Sorry,
too
that was
long.
bad aim for me.
Oh, there was no chance. No chance, I wasn't far enough over.
Sorry, my bad.
It's fine, you let him do it. He's got a dodgy hand. Robert Kibesa looking ass. That was a bit much.
Oh my god. Oh. Just left it. That's good fun.
There was a tiny hold of the controller. Yeah, I'm scared, man. I'm not allowed to press that trigger at all. I'm in a claw grip right now. I want to make sure that I can at least like move the camera, move about, and press all the buttons I need to press. It's 2 buttons. It's 2 buttons too many. Oh shit, okay. New tech. Let's go!
I'm so fucking good.
Sorry, my bad. My fault.
Look at this fucking shot. Look at that.
Looking at it. It wasn't.
Sorry guys, that went straight past you.
Yeah, that's fine. It's all good.
Oh, fucking hell. That was so close. Bullshit!
Ref, I don't work with him, Ref.
Ref, he's cheap. He's got something in the hand.
He's got a metal hand. He's got his shoes off. He's got his dogs out, Ref.
The dogs are out.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what dogs. I like that. I like that.
I love it when you pass this straight in the opposite.
I tried to take it slow and it just sent it in a direction. I did not get to control it because of how slow I was going. I'll be honest. I'm not proud, but it worked.
Let's grab that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, just wants to leave it. Every fucking time.
Oh, fucking hell.
He's out.
Stupid, 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 stupid.
Get a new hand, bro. What the fuck?
Oh,
You did just do you, though.
fucking awful, man. Fucking awful.
There was no keeper.
Jump towards the ball. No shit, I know. I'm not very good at that bit though.
Got my fucking stamp, bro.
Nice one.
Keeps.
Come on, fellas. Come on, fellas.
I don't know. No, if I had my boost on, I could have dashed.
Yeah,
Tricked him, idiot. Duh. Goalie's clean, not gonna try and shoot from here, is he?
Except that one time.
Except all those other times of the match. Come on, lads. It was like, come on.
Why did you tackle into it?
I don't know.
Would you like an important tip? I would love an important tip, man. UK.
Oh, what the fuck? I hit right and it dived left. I did like a small adjustment and it took the the thing I was aiming for the right just went
I
left.
fucking hate this controller layout. It's so fucking shit.
His controller sucks ass. He's blaming technology.
I'm not saying about the controller.
Ghost getting raided.
Welcome, Raiders.
Get high. Come on, Ghost. You got to score a goal for them. Come on, Ghost. Come on, Ghost. Score a goal for them. If they get this goal in, I'm gonna cry.
Thank you very much.
Come on, Ghost. Take it away from them. Just send it.
Oh my god, Ghost, do something.
Ghost, please. Ghost, please. 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 What the fuck? I pressed Y.
Nice.
I'm completely on Dux's side here. You choke the fuck out.
Oh, sorry. Next time you get raided.
You know what? I will.
Fuck it. One time. We're going back to
follows.
Come on, Kip! Come on, Kip! Oh.
I know what else he does with those hands. And it involves underage people.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, fellas. It was the claw grip. It's all my fault. Not even looking at the score on that one. Not even looking at the score on that one. Yeah, I didn't look at the score on that one.
How did I score a hat trick and get the lowest score?
You didn't get the lowest score.
Oh yeah, I thought I read yours.
Doug scored the highest score.
Wait, what? Did I get what?
Not by much. It was like by like 200 points.
I was gonna say, what the fuck? Was the blade shot? I see a blade shot.
Did UK Toxic Kills give me?
Right, lads. Next one. I'm not being in goals.
I don't know what you're on about. I don't know what you mean.
I'm not being in goals. Isn't the blade shot where you have to like jump and like kick your leg out really high and like axe it into the goal and then hit the floor and like, break your elbow?
You don't know.
You have to do it like a blade.
Like a blade, maybe. Sure, I'll take
like
that.
Blade from.
Yeah,
like Wesley
blade. Yeah.
Wesley Snipes.
You just turn it into Wesley Snipes.
Oh no, he doesn't know. No, he doesn't know.
We haven't got a goalie right now. I ain't going back in goals. Right, Kip, left.
That works. That works.
Oh, that was to them. Shit, my bad.
You didn't raid a sweat. No, you didn't. You raided a fucking noob who's here.
We just booted this for fun.
Our other game kept crashing, so we started playing this one.
Oh.
It's so good.
Oh! Go, let's pick it up. Just send it.
Put too much power on that. Salt.
Oh shit, I forgot there's a defense.
Yeah, this is
a defensive stance.
I'm so sorry, guys. You're like having fun? Yeah, we've done it.
Oh, fuck. Kip.
Yeah.
That's yours, Ducks. Go for it.
Oh, straight into him.
Right into his hands. I love that.
Oh, shit, I should've, I know!
We did what I
Oh, fuck!
Where you press B because B is shoot on FIFA.
Yeah.
Thank God I don't play FIFA.
I haven't spent a lot of time in FIFA, only when I was younger.
Oh, the NES got it.
They're all dressed like watermelons. Yeah, they are.
Yep, we are watermelons. We are literally the watermelons.
No, it's the other
Okay.
team. Us.
No, we are.
No,
Look.
we're not.
For me, we're the watermelons.
We're white.
We're white.
For me, we're the watermelons.
We're also dressed in white.
Cross it. Hey, don't cross it.
I was trying to get my opening, alright? Let's
Nice.
go! Let's go! If the target were the place, you'd be winning. I'm just playing to break ankles.
My bad. My fault. Sorry.
Man, my character is so hot.
Smash.
Smash.
Nice. Shoot.
Let's fucking go!
Nice, thank you. My fault. Thanks, mate.
Smash pass.
Let's go! I love the fucking sorry.
I've been disabled. I've been combanned.
My bad. My fault.
Oh, he just got smashed. Oh. Alright. Same stamina.
He's tricking. He's tricks.
He is.
He's tricks.
I haven't got the stamina. Oh, nice ghost. Well, that's
That was
keeping
me, but yeah.
Stolen Valor.
Go on.
Oh. Put it off him. Got it again.
Nice. Nice.
Come on, Kip. Come on, Kip. Nice. Let's fucking go.
I didn't even try.
Sorry. My bad. Sorry. My fault.
That was so clean.
It's so clean.
He didn't even jump. He didn't even try. 1K.
Kip's coming.
Well,
I did say it wasn't going to be goalie. I did say it wasn't going to be goalie.
My bad. Sorry. My bad.
I said I wasn't going to be goalie.
he did. Why did it? What the fuck?
You see? You see? You get to send it one way and it doesn't always go the way you want it to.
Ow, my goal. Bitch.
Okay, good news. My controller's not disconnecting every 5 seconds.
I don't believe you.
Oh. This ain't good. Oh. Bro, shut the fuck up. Okay. I'm comms banned. I'm comms banned.
You deserve comms ban.
Sorry. My bad. My fault.
Oh, I missed.
Miss.
Did.
So did he though. Oh, fuck me.
Ghost.
Disconnected
Run up
again.
them all. Yeah, I fucking knew it. Which standard there.
Brother, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. Where's he behind me?
Fuck.
Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go.
Sorry.
Hell yeah.
My bad. Sorry. My bad.
Ghost needs to invest in a real controller. Just like use a keyboard and mouse.
2 days ago. Here's a third
Go on,
party.
Ghost,
with
push.
highly
Go on, Ghost,
reviewed
push.
PC.
I reviewed for what? Don't mind the nuts.
Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go.
My fault. Sorry. My bad.
Bosh. I don't mind standing in goal. Well, I don't have the goalie buff because Ghost has it.
Why the fuck did
I
I
can't die.
Fellas.
Because you were standing in goal the entire time, so you have the goalie thing, and I
No,
don't.
three things is different.
No, it has the little glove next to your name.
Yeah, but you just said I was standing in goal the entire time. You're closer to goal than I was.
Nice jump, Kip. Nice jump.
Yeah, but you still had the goalie buff. You
Kip, I'm like wide open. Alright, it wasn't wide open anymore. Oh.
You didn't have the goal buff.
I did have the goalie buff, but I dove too late.
Sorry. My bad.
Don't get sarky with me.
Get rage bait.
This game's gonna.
Rage bait is.
It's gonna pull us
I'm
apart.
not the one screaming about Bioshock.
Neither am I.
Why did it do that?
Oh.
Oh my god.
Nice. Kip. Nice. Nice. Let's go, fellas.
Sorry. My bad. My fault.
That was a very nice back pass.
No fucking way.
You
Sorry. My bad. My fault. Sorry.
They kicked that from their goal to your
Yep.
goal.
Yep.
I want to see this.
You guys are great at the game when you actually know what you're doing. Congrats. After that one. Yeah. Send it, Kip. Oh no. No. No.
My bad.
I got
My
tackled
fault.
with it in my hand.
Sorry. My bad.
Yeah.
My fault. Sorry.
That's not legal.
My bad.
Raiders, I'm so sorry you've come in to watch this. I'm so sorry you've come in to watch this.
Look at that. That's bullshit.
Yep. I was kind of hoping me and their goalie would just sort of go back and forth.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I bet we can make it happen. See how long we can run overtime through.
That's it. Why does it not always grab the ball? I don't get it.
I know, that's what I don't get as well.
Oh.
Doesn't make any fucking sense. It's dark section too.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
What?
Fellas, that's the best game we've had so far. It's the best one we've had so
It was
far.
all fumbled. How do I type in chat that they don't deserve that at all? Like, they need to add chat for that exact reason. At least 2 of these people were dropped on their head as kids.
Oh, I didn't look at the scores then. Fuck.
I did. I got the highest.
I
No,
wish
I
it was-
didn't. Dux did. This is rigged. I've scored more goals.
I've scored
got
3
one more in me.
goals. I wish there was a way I could go
One
back
more
and
in
look
you.
at
There's
the
your
last
controller.
match score. Is there a way?
Your controller. I have one more.
Anyone
in it.
chat? No, no. That was a pretty good game. Right, I'm not going in goal again.
Oh my god. The point of it is to be fluid, so you rotate who's in goal.
There's literally
No!
there's a sweeper keeper buff as to get with infinite stamina, so you can run back.
Nope.
I've made us red.
I've made us watermelons. We're all watermelons in my eyes. Fellas, I think we're playing against some pros here. I don't have faith. I'm out of stamina.
Oh fuck. I
Unfortunate.
could have just stayed standing there.
Yep.
I've been baited.
Hello, Fido scored.
Sorry. My fault. My bad.
Man, my hands are so sweaty.
Yeah, I'm sweating up a storm.
Right, what's the plan, fellas? Where are we going? Where do you want us?
Go that way. Run for it.
For fuck's sake.
Again.
Yeah.
Nice!
Yeah.
Just had faith in you. Just had faith in you. I was gonna say pass it over, but you just don't need me. It's like high school football. Just don't pass. Just keep trying to shoot.
That was top ins. That was.
You ever seen Ted Lasso?
ins.
You're Jamie from
Yeah.
Ted Lasso right now.
I'm the tart.
You are a lion. You are the tart. Me, I'm gonna be Roy Kent. You fucking wanker. Be the bastard.
That's our field art.
Come on, tart. Come on, tart.
Ah.
Tart, what were you
That's not the
fucking
way I wanted
thinking?
it to curve.
Tart, what were you fucking thinking?
Not the way I wanted it to curve, alright?
Oh, very aggressive.
Double tackle, nice.
Double pass, I'm rebuilding my stamina. Oh, Tart, come on, aim on sight, come on!
I ain't aiming, I'm just reshooting.
Tart, I'm open. It's
Yes,
open.
It's a goal.
Oh, I didn't listen until both of them ran past, alright? I'm sorry. It's my fault.
My bad. Sorry.
Deliver your first assist. Let's fucking go! I helped!
See, Rose says my character looks hot.
My bad. My fault.
I'm not the only one who
Sorry.
thinks it. Yeah, this guy's like playing with you.
For fuck's sake, Christ.
Why the
Kian,
fuck
what
did
was
you do
that? Kian!
Aim at the...
Just send it, just send it, just fucking send it.
There you go.
If you want.
What do you mean aim it?
So your camera isn't where the ball goes. But you can
My
change
camera
that.
wasn't, it was straight.
Here. Fast.
You can change that within the setting. That's what I've switched mine to. So the camera is where it passes. Where it shoots. Where it shoots, but you know.
Oh.
What? See? So, like, I'm facing
To the right,
straight
to the
and
right.
it's going behind me.
Nice.
Oh, he did a trick.
Pass it over.
I tried.
Oh.
That was a really good tag. Oh, it's like, this was Tommy.
Oh. Thanks for passing checks then, Kip. That was real nice.
You're both upfield, just tackle them there. Unlike when you did it and we were both on defense. You see the difference?
Yeah, no, I'm learning now. I'm improving, it's a problem.
What's that a problem?
This guy playing barefoot. Oh man, I should be doing that. Over here.
To me.
Apologies, guys.
It's okay.
Oh, that should have been fucking in. It's bullshit.
Fucking control everywhere. That's right, that's good.
Bitch. There you go. Nice.
Why does it not pick up the ball? It's really fucking me off. small at all. Nice. Nice.
Oi, 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 shoot, shoot, shoot.
Oh, you fucking took it from under my foot. Bro phased through me like a fucking phantom.
Phantom of the Opera.
I'm coming back.
Yep.
Go to my stamina.
Oh, that went the complete wrong direction.
Yep.
I apologise.
I'm out of stamina. This is my problem.
Example.
I'm out of fucking stamina. It's hold it as long as possible, Kian. We just hold it with one. We ended a win. Let's fucking go. Won the MVP award for the first time.
Oh my god, we completed the daily challenge. What a match.
Let's go.
Oh fuck!
Won your first match.
Guess I'm doing one more fucking game.
No, we're gonna end on a loss.
I believe.
I believe.
Believe.
Need to make that redeem. Oh, fucking.
Donkey singing it. Gotta be the clip though.
Yeah.
Oh no, that guy's got he's got a costume.
Thank god they spent money.
Oh no, fucking way.
Nice one.
My bad. My fault. Sorry. My bad. My fault.
Echoes. Oh my god, they got a hoodie.
I don't even know what happened. I barely touched it and then next thing you know.
You got tackled, Brad.
Yeah.
Like that.
That.
And now the goal's open.
Yeah, it's fine. Sweeper. It's the whole point of the sweeper thing.
Oh,
They
this
do
guy's
it
a pro.
twice.
He's a pro. He's just too good.
He touches kick.
Oh. Grab his dick and twist it. Oh, that didn't go the way I wanted to.
Yeah, you win one game.
Go on, kid.
What?
Oh fuck.
My favourite part is when it phased past him. I liked that bit. I like that bit a lot. Hey?
That was not the direction that I wanted that to go in at all.
I think you need to
Yeah, I need to work on
point
that a little
your...
bit. Think a bit better.
Goals free. Goals free.
Nice. I'm gonna admit, it felt like we fumbled that one to get a goal then. And it was mostly me.
Sorry.
Mostly me fumbling to move it down the field.
To be fair, I fumbled it on that, but I did it on the rebound.
Oh, fuck no.
Hey, they threw it to you.
Oh, straight arm again.
Come back, come back.
Fuck. Nice.
Nice.
Looks. Unlucky.
Yeah.
Sweet burp.
On the rebound. That was actually really good. Weirdly. I mean, if you were shooting.
Hold on to the fucking ball, mate! Hold on to the fucking ball! I'm sending it to just get it away from our side.
Fuck. Nice.
Nice.
Good shit.
Okay, that actually helped.
Send it backwards, so you can send it forwards.
Oh, I tried to get that. Got the stamina.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
why did
unfortunate.
it dive that way? Why did it dive that way? I was holding the other way.
Fellas, he's understanding the pain.
No,
He knows how
it
it
just
feels.
sucks on tracking because apparently it fucking passes the ball behind you and you shoot an own goal. Oh my god.
Oh, fuck that. And it worked for him. It's actually disgusting. Bastard.
Oh, the fuck. He actually just crossed that perfectly for me. Oh, eat shit, bro.
It's getting it out.
Yeah.
Reset it.
Nice.
Why is it? What? What? Okay, I lagged there. That was bullshit.
Square it.
I'm lagging.
Oh, sorry.
I'm actually
Looked
lagging.
like you were going
Balls,
that
like,
way.
getting left behind on multiple occasions.
Yeah, that happened to me earlier on. Oh, come on.
Mate, just rev up.
Let's just take it. They're both back here. Nice.
I'm still lagging.
My fault.
One of them's left the game. Let's go!
The whizziest. Whatever this is.
Oh, it was the sweat of the skin as well.
I thought all three of us were gonna push. There's only two of them. I thought all three of us were gonna push on them. What the fuck are they gonna do? There's only two of them. One has to stay and go one attack. We all three can just leave the goal behind. I should. Oh, he just fucking spiked it. Yes, we could have. I literally looked like you were all going, and the next thing I know, Kip's turned around. He's going backwards. I'm like, uh oh.
Yeah,
I thought we were all pushing. Yes, I thought we were all pushing.
No.
Right, okay, alright, yes, I should have I'll admit, I should have communicated, all three of us should have gone forwards, because there's only two of them.
There you go forward.
Because now if you send it to me, you can just get that in.
Send it in.
Yeah.
You can, right now. Go on.
There we go.
We got this. Sorry, my bad.
Delivered your first assist.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's gonna go into overtime. Right, should we just full send it and all push?
I might just do it here.
'Cause it's overtime, so we literally just need one goal. Oh, it's a goal.
And yeah,
That was a bad.
them-
Yeah. No, it hasn't gone in. No, it didn't go in though. It didn't go in. Yeah.
Even if.
That's why you have someone in goal, because if they just... There you go.
Techers! My bad. My fault. Sorry. My bad. My fault.
It's really funny to see them keep moving, but our characters just stop dead because we like have a break for a second. It's so funny. Let's fucking go. I still don't understand how to play this
I got
game.
MVP.
Let's go! He's over MVP!
By 50 points.
Yeah, by 50 points. Let's go, fellas. And there.
W streamers. Let's go.
Right.
Can we
It's
get
coming
a
home.
pack
It's
opening
coming.
redeem for that?
Football's coming home.
Is anyone here who hasn't redeemed it yet? I don't think there is. Yeah.
Man, I'm switching back to the games, the webcam scene. That was a lot of fun. I did not think I'd enjoy it as much as I did then. Holy shit.
How do I quit the game?
It's the same problem. Alt F4.
System quit game.
Just Alt
Or
F4.
just come into my stream and redeem the thing so I can open a pack.
Don't do it, Rose. Don't do it, Rose.
Please, begging.
Don't do it, Rose. Don't do it, Rose. Rose, don't go into his chat and redeem anything. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Please redeem pack open.
Don't
Please.
do it, Rose.
I need a hit, bro.
Don't you do it, Rose. Don't do it.
They might
Rose.
even not have 5,000 points, to be fair. I must follow the Duck Lord. Wow, wow.
Shall we find another rematch streamer to raid into? I've set it to
He
recommend.
is not the law.
Depends. See who got following at the moment. Who is on?
Yeah, if you've got anyone. Because I've not got anyone.
Jen streaming.
Jen is streaming.
Jen's still going for the... They're building Lego. Building... a tree. Deku tree Lego build.
Yeah, it's a fucking sick Lego, to be fair.
It is really cool. Is that where we're going then?
Yeah, screw it.
Yeah.
As well.
It's Jenna Asring, isn't it?
Ah.
What?
Right, thanks, peeps.
Thank you very
Cheers,
much,
fellas.
lads. That was a lot of fun at the end. I really wish like Peak ran better, like worked better. I had a lot of fun in that, just being goofy. That was a lot of fun.
We can
And
pray
then
that it gets better
Fucking
soon.
rematch was a lot of fun as well. I was surprised by how fun that was.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah. Right.
Alrighty. Well. Raid. Bye,
Wait,
fellas.
See you later, lads.